Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I am your host, Martino, and today we're going to be talking about 3 TV shows that we haven't gotten to talking about yet, which have been out for a while, so that's a bummer, but we're here today to finally do it. Those shows are Obi Wan Kenobi, Stranger Things, and Miss Marvel. I'm very excited to get into all of it today. But before we do start, please hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. And also sitting with me today with a whole new look, all of us. First we have Mr. Jose Espinel. Jose, what's going on?
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here. You know, I'm loving life. I've started streaming on Twitch, and that's been going pretty good for me. So I'm excited to get into more of that and kind of venture out into different things and just create some new content for my audience out there, and hopefully grow my Twitch a little more. So I've been having a lot of fun with life right now.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm excited that you're streaming on Twitch. I can't wait to actually get into that and check that out. I have not checked out your streams yet. I do apologize. I will, and I'm excited to. So that's awesome for you. I'm very happy that you're doing that, honestly, man.
Thanks,
that's a really new, good adventure for you in life, honestly. So, like, I mean,
yeah,
seriously, it's cool.
I've been holding off streaming for the longest time because I didn't think that webcam would be a good enough quality camera to use for streaming, but when you actually look at the streams, it's actually pretty good quality. So I'm excited to start streaming some more and get some more content out there, honestly.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And also sitting with us today here is Mr. David Tresch. Dave, what's going on, my guy? And that's all we got from Dave today. So we are going to go back into
no, come back to me.
Okay.
Back to me. I was doing the anchor man. I was staying very still, so it was like I was frozen, like Steve Carell.
I like
Rick, are you there?
I was thinking of Bruce Almighty. I was going to do the I like a do a cha-cha. I was like, damn it, he doesn't say that, anchor man. He plays an anchor in Bruce Almighty and does it there. Shit, I forgot
and
all
Morgan
about that.
Freeman is God, so it's all canon.
Yeah, for sure.
I am doing excellent today. I recently just watched, I believe it was called The Call, believe it or not. It's called The Call with Holly Berry. Watched it on the plane ride back, and it was freaking amazing. I thought the 911 call movie with Jake Gyllenhaal was great. This one with Holly Berry was surprisingly good.
You're kidding me.
We lost Tom. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh man, I did not like that movie at all. Man.
I liked it too.
I'm glad you guys do. I do not like that movie at all.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's on Netflix, and that's how I saw it. And I actually really liked it. I thought it was a really good movie.
I am interested to see the
having Catwoman flashbacks, which is why he doesn't.
It's got to be it, man.
He just can't get Catwoman out of his head.
Maybe because I haven't liked Halle Berry since in anything, so it might be part of it. I don't know if it is. It's something I'm doing subconsciously, not on purpose. But like, I honestly have not enjoyed a Halle Berry movie since Catwoman. I don't like Catwoman at all. I think it's terrible, and like most people,
one should. But that's,
Catwoman is.
Yeah.
The only saving grace for Halle Berry for me is that she is Storm.
Fair enough. I mean, she's
fair.
great. She's great as Storm. I love her as that. And I mean, genuinely, I am excited for the Jake Gyllenhaal one though, because Jake Gyllenhaal is awesome. I typically like everything he does. I can't remember the name of it.
I watched it right when it came out. It just came out this year. It's a Jake Gyllenhaal movie where he is a 911 caller. It's one of those limited movies where it's all filmed in the same exact room. Yeah. And it like just the thrill and the suspense of the movie takes you out of that. And like it took me until the very end of the movie where I was like, holy fuck, I have no idea what is actually going on with these certain of events. Yeah.
I think I've seen it. Yeah. I think that one's it's also on Netflix. It's called The Guilty.
Guilty. Yeah.
Yes, The
Guilty. There
you
go.
That one's actually really good too. I saw it too on Netflix. That one was really good. I actually saw The Call and Guilty back to back on Netflix. They're actually both really good.
Very good. Very similar movies, but very different at the same time.
I'm really bummed out because I heard the one with Jamie Foxx is terrible. The Day Shift movie. I haven't watched it yet. The vampire movie. And actually,
that's the girl next to me was watching that on the plane. And
I
asked her, I was like, how'd you like it? She was like, shit.
I hear it's absolute shit.
I never saw her again.
I have heard from everybody that I know that's watched it. That's absolute crap. And that upsets me because I like vampire movies and we need a good one. And I like Jamie Foxx a lot. I think he's great. And the last movie he did was bad too for Netflix. The one with Gordon Levitt. I can't remember where they're taking the drugs and they're superheroes or something. I don't know. It was dumb. It was bad.
I got you.
It was really bad. But I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt too. That was like one of the first things he did after his little hiatus that he had, and I remember that movie being absolute shit. I did watch something.
Oh, Project Power.
Project Power, thank you. I did watch something recently that I'm very excited to just go on a quick little rant about here, and it is Star Wars related, so I'm so stoked to talk to you guys about this. And this isn't the type of thing that I would usually bring to the channel and like give a review of, but I am just so over the moon about this that I have to. It's Revenge of the Sith. It's the 4-hour and 12-minute cut that's fan made. And
I remember you and I talking about that.
it's an ultimate cut
almost a month ago.
And so here's what I did. I took some time, had a little extra time on my hands. You guys know why. I won't talk about it publicly, but I put it on my PC. I got a copy of this thing on my PC, hooked up the Oculus, and then it was like I put on the big screen app, which is the movie theater app, and
that
I
must
watched
have
it
been
that
sick.
way. Dude, it was awesome. This cut, dude, it changed Revenge of the Sith for me in so many ways. I don't know if I'll watch it any other way now, honestly, because so what it does is it starts with the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars. So it incorporates the Clone Wars and also does the vintage Clone Wars too. It takes a little bit of that and just cuts it all together with the Revenge of the Sith film. And the way that it cuts back and forth, I'm not kidding. I swore that it was going to be a lot more jarring when it was going to do between animated and live action, but it actually was not. Like, it all felt so cohesive, and it just goes to show again like how much Filoni has added to the universe with Clone Wars and how great that is. And it also takes a little bit of the first episode of Bad Batch and incorporates a little bit of Jedi Fallen Order. The one thing that was daunting was the Fallen Order stuff for sure. That was the one thing I thought going from the video game to the movie was maybe the most jarring thing, but it's not done much, so it didn't bother me that much. It was just they showed little tiny clips of it during like Order 66 and stuff. Other than that, there's nothing from Fallen Order that's taken. But this is an awesome cut. If I'm not going to tell anybody how to go get a copy of it, but if you can get your hands on it, go do that. And
I want to so bad now, honestly.
Bro, it really is in so many ways better than the original version. The other thing that the guy did is he took deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith and reincorporated them, stuff that George cut, which is awesome as well. And nobody can tell me now that Padme or Natalie Portman and George Lucas didn't have beef, because with most of the deleted stuff, it's extensions of scenes that are already in the movie. It's just like, it just expands a lot of the sequences that are already in the movie. But with Padme, he cut like entire sequences. Like entire sequences. It wasn't like her stuff was expansions of the things that were already in the movie. Her sequences that were back in this cut are just long stuff that should have been in the original cut. There's no reason for him to have cut it out. Like, I understand why he did some of the other cuts because of runtime. The stuff with Padme, those Natalie Portman rumors, they have to be true. There's no other reason he would have cut her entire sequences that feel so much more significant now, especially because you get so much of a better understanding of the political things that are going on behind the scenes in her stuff, especially. I love, and a lot of her scenes also use Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, which made me really excited because, you know, Mon Mothma is about to play a major part in Andor, and so I'm like watching these with Genevieve O'Reilly playing her, and all of her stuff was cut from Revenge of the Sith, but it's because I swear it had to do with Padme, and the dialogue is actually really well written. It's some of the best well-written political dialogue in the prequels, and the entire sequences are just cut out completely, and I'm so glad they were put back in by this fan. He did a great job, and you know that they were significant too, because compared to some of the other stuff that was cut, these looked a lot more done. And I swear George cut them because he had beef with Natalie Portman. So I think those rumors that were going about are definitely true at this point. Nobody can tell me differently. I've heard, like, I love the YouTuber Dave, but you know, Star Wars Theory goes off and denies there's no way Natalie Portman and George had beef. Yeah, they did. Yeah. You watch these scenes and they definitely did. You know, it's 100% true. And I always go back to that scene where Anakin and Padme are talking on the balcony. Jose, we might have talked about this back when we were doing Star Wars Sundays together, but I've always had a beef with that one moment because Padme, I swear he CGI'd her face in that. It looks like he CGI'd Natalie Portman's face into that scene. Go back and watch it and tell me I'm wrong. I'm telling you, it's a different actress standing there, and he CGI'd her face on top of it. There were definite problems going on Revenge of the Sith behind the scenes. Nobody can tell me differently. Anyway, I gotta hand it to this guy. He's a really good editor. It's one of the best fan edits, fan cuts, fan made whatevers I've seen. Honestly, it's genuinely done with a lot of passion, and he really did a good job. I think making it as seamless as you could possibly make it, honestly, between the animation and the live action being in one thing, and just you just buy it. You buy it so well because Filoni did such a great job with those last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, that you just buy it so well that this is all going on at the same time. And it's due to the way the guy cut it together. It's really awesome stuff. So if anybody out there hasn't seen that yet, go do that. And then what I did afterward, which the mouse is going to be on me about this one, so I won't really talk about my workaround, but I watched Obi Wan in the theater after because the 4-hour cut really inspired me to do that in the big screen theater. So I definitely went back and did that. And the other thing I would say about Obi Wan, it should have been done on the big screen. I think a lot of these shows need to be, and after seeing it on the big screen app, like, it should have been put it in the theaters somehow. There needs to be a way for us to be able to see these things in theaters, because again, watching it on that big screen app on the VR, it was made for that. It feels like it was made for that, and I feel like we're missing so much of a lot when we're watching it on the little TVs. And
maybe if there was like a way that you could show, like, that you have a Disney Plus subscription, you can be like, all right, and you can, like, as a Disney Plus subscriber, you could go watch it free, and if you don't have one, then you can, like, pay a certain price. Or if they want to make more money and fucking rid our pockets, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you can pay, like, less than someone who doesn't have one.
Well, I think for the people, and this is one thing, the people with the VR, and I'm not saying VR big screen apps or theater apps are as good as going to the actual theater. It's never going to be that good, but even for the people that have Oculuses, like, I have to find a workaround to be able to watch Obi-Wan on the big screen on that, on the big screen app. I have to be able to find a workaround. Disney doesn't give me an easy way to do that. So I really had to find a workaround even just to even do that because of their copyright whatevers. They want you to go to Disney Plus. Well, guess what? If you use the Amazon Prime Video app on your Oculus, everything on Prime Video you can watch in a movie theater. They have their own, like, movie theater setting.
Yeah, I don't see why Disney can't do that.
Right. I even think that would be beneficial to a lot of these shows. But I did come to a conclusion about Star Wars and what's kind of happening right now with everything after this, and this will give us a good transition to Obi-Wan here. We're missing the theater experience. We really are. We're desperately, I think, all of us missing it. Like, there is something about the first initial time. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite Star Wars movie or least favorite. When you're seeing it in the theater with other Star Wars fans, it does have a different effect. And I think that with the shows, and while I completely support them doing television shows, I think that they need to make improvements and do them right. We'll see how Andor turns out. I think they need to really utilize the television platform better. I think they're still working on that and struggling with that from time to time. Mandalorian is obviously an exception. They've figured it out pretty well there, but with Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, they've completely missed the mark in terms of what the point of the platform of television is. Having that longer time. They don't utilize having more time the right way, in my opinion. That's, I think, been the biggest problem between Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. I think Mandalorian, again, has nailed it, and they know what they're doing. With maybe one or two minor little tweaks I would make, they do understand why they have that platform of television. Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, those shows don't understand. I like the shows, I do, but they don't understand the television platform or why
that goes to show, and that goes to show that, because Mandalorian was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. These other two weren't.
Yeah, so. But let me ask you this though too, because but Filoni's head of creative. So why are the other shows still turning out not as great? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got that big promotion. He's been head of creative on these things. So why aren't they turning out as great? I understand Filoni and Favreau's they have more direct involvement in Mandalorian for sure, and that is you're not wrong in terms of your assessment of why the quality is better. It's absolutely why, because they have more direct involvement. But if you're put in the position of head of creative like Filoni was, because that was a big story that broke earlier last year, I think. And back when we were doing Star Wars Sundays, that story broke, and that was so exciting because I thought, well, now all the shows are going to be treated with the same level of attention. You say what you want about Marvel, I think that they've missed the mark too on some of their TV projects, but I never feel like Feige's out. You know what I mean? I always feel like Marvel is still getting the same level of attention. I just feel like the position Marvel's in now is different. The position Marvel's in now is they're in a position where they have to now take bigger swings and do different things. And,
with this whole multiverse and everything, it's like,
well, Infinity Saga was over, right? So they had to try to figure out a new way. So they're kind of in a reset mode right now.
Right. Yeah.
So they have a different problem than Star Wars has. Star Wars has a problem of they've never been 100% since Disney's taken over. That's their biggest issue.
Yeah, honestly.
And it's not, I'm not saying that they can't get there. They will. I have full faith that they have to. I just think it's going to take, they have, because of division.
Oh, paycheck. I'm just kidding.
Well, let's call it like it is. You have The Last Jedi, which is divisive because, and the people that like The Last Jedi typically don't like The Rise of Skywalker. The people that don't like
Last Jedi
don't like Last Jedi actually thought Rise of Skywalker was pretty good. That's what happened. And so they have this real, like, they're fixing a different problem than Marvel is. Marvel is trying to figure out, they're trying to take risks. They're trying to jump and take risks. And Star Wars made the mistake of taking those risks right from the jump. You know what I mean? With Last Jedi. And I love the movie personally, but they were taking risks right from the jump. You know what I mean? So business-wise, it's a bad move. I'm always going to stand by that. Last Jedi, business-wise, was a bad move. Doesn't mean I don't like the movie personally or that tons of other people like the movie personally. I'm just saying I can watch it and understand why the division happened. They took big swings right from the jump. Marvel didn't do that. So now that they've wrapped up their saga where they weren't taking the biggest swings. I mean, they did take some big swings, let's be honest, but they built to that better. So they just have a different problem to solve. Their problem right now is we need to take big swings, but they can afford that's the difference. They can afford
They
a little division right now. They can afford a little bit because they have so many other things that people can go back to. You know what I mean? Not that Star Wars doesn't. I mean, Star Wars still has the original trilogy that people can go back to, but they haven't.
There's a different idea of what the fans think when they're going back and watching Empire to swallow their pain compared to going back to like Endgame, which just came out. You know what I mean? There's a bit more hope there when you're going back and it's like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm not a big fan of Multiverse of Madness of this, but No Way Home was even decent, you know. And Endgame, that Infinity Saga there at the end, the whole thing everyone liked pretty solidly. And Star Wars fans that go back and they're like, oh, Revenge of the Sith was actually made a decent minute ago, and I don't like the way that things keep changing season to season with the TV show.
Right. Well,
which is I don't.
Marvel also
they don't go for a fresh project, something that would break that division, something like going back to the Old Republic, get Keanu Reeves in a fucking movie and just change the era, go in a time machine, and let's make something fresh that we can't take risks with, and see if people like it then.
And Marvel also has a lot more stuff to go back to than Star Wars. Honestly,
that's what I mean. I think I think what Jose just said is perfect because Marvel, we as fans for Star Wars, we see the potential of a shared universe because there are people out there that do it really well. In terms of Dave Filoni in terms of things he's directly involved in, like I'm talking right above the project, Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian.
Yeah, he
has tied all that in very well. It's all tied together very well. So we see the potential of the shared universe. But then you have Boba Fett and Robert Rodriguez is like, nah. You know, I want to. It connects. I will say, Book of Boba Fett does connect, and Filoni did direct an episode of that. It's connected better than Obi Wan, and Obi Wan is connected, but we're not. But again, it goes back into the problem of those two shows. Don't take advantage of having the TV format. They don't, because you can cut those shows down to movies and get the same results. That's the difference.
That's true. Yeah.
What they're using what they're doing with the extra time that they have, it feels so insignificant. You know what I mean? Compared to what Mandalorian does with the extra time, or even let's just talk about great fantasy television in general, like Game of Thrones had a lot of time to do a lot of things and used it for majority of the show pretty damn well.
Yeah,
they built a lot
we're
of
lore. We're not even going to talk about season 8.
It's rushed. They made a mistake on season 8. That's why I said majority of the show.
Yeah,
they used their time very, very well.
They did. Yeah.
Why aren't these shows? Again, Mandalorian's an exception, even though it comes in under. I think all these shows should be, once you binge the whole season, 6 hours minimum. But you got Obi Wan and Boba Fett, which what are they coming at, like a 4.5 hour minimum, right? I mean, that's or maximum, I think 4.5 hour maximum. So that's the big issue right now, is they're not taking their time. They're not utilizing the time properly. I don't know if that makes sense.
They're really just rushing those shows out there. They're not taking, like you said, they're not taking the time to really make them the best they can.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a perfect example too of like, okay, so Mandalorian, right? You have all these great characters, right? You wouldn't have that in a movie. You wouldn't have as many characters that you care about in a movie.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking of the moment in I think it was season 1 or 2. They go through, it's 2, when they go through that Imperial base. This is perfection, right? And the show, it stops to take a moment to look at what appears to be bacta tanks in the base, and you can see like a clone that looks like Supreme Leader Snoke. In a movie, you're not getting that. You know what I mean? You're not going to stop and take the time to do that in a movie. In the show, you can. And the other thing, the reason Mandalorian really succeeds is because it treats it like the format of back when I used to play Knights of the Old Republic. You do all these side quests, and eventually you're at the big boss at the end, right? That's how Mandalorian's been formatted, and it works every single time. And so when you get to Boba Fett, it's like, sure, you led up to Cad Bane, but the rest of it was trying to be more tied in like a movie in a way. You know what I mean? Like its own little movie. And then you spend time in flashbacks, and it was so just jumbled, and it didn't take advantage of the extra time. Or like in Obi-Wan, this is actually probably the best example of what I'm trying to get across. Obi-Wan has this one moment actually where he mentions about when he was younger, he remembers a baby and he had a brother. That's fantastic. That's great lore. Granted, he never heard about it again. And we might at some point, if they're trying to build their shared universe, which they are. But why aren't there more of those moments? You have the extra time, give us the extra lore. That's my point. That's my point. That's what I think the biggest weakness of these shows have been for Star Wars anyway. And again, Marvel's taking big swings. I'll talk about this since I know I'm the only one that watched it really quick. I won't spoil anything, but I did watch She-Hulk today, episode 1. It's great. It's great. So she is the female Deadpool, 100%. So if you guys like Deadpool, I mean, she's able to break the fourth wall. And I think the thing I really like, a lot of people don't know this, like I'm a Hulk nut. I love Hulk as a character. He's actually one of my favorites in the MCU. Like, even that shit movie with Eric Bana, I don't like it, but when I was a kid, like I fucking loved it, you know? So I'm a Hulk nut. I have been since I was a kid. I even remember having the fucking green chocolate syrup. Remember when they made that so you get green chocolate milk to promote the Eric Bana movie? Like, and I played the video game. Like,
yeah, I used to have the Hulk Smash, those big Hulk Smash toys that you could put on the gloves. Yeah, those like big Hulk Smash gloves.
Some kid on your block was talking that mad shit. I'd put on those Hulk cans and I'd be like, let's go, bro. Yeah, let's go. Exactly. You think you're tough?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I remember-
motherfucker. I got
I-
Hulk hands, motherfucker.
Yeah, I used to love Hulk as well as a kid because I used to just go around Hulk smashing shit around my house.
So I mean, I'll say this though about it though, and I'm the same way. Like I had toys, I had video games. I love the movie and Incredible Hulk. I still think is such an overlooked MCU film. I think it was great. I thought Edward Norton did a great job, and then Luis, oh god, the director, he's doing F10 now, but the director did really really well with that, and I still think it's great. I could still watch it. To me, it's the best Hulk movie we have to date. So I really still enjoy it. Jose, with the screen.
What?
Your screen.
What happened?
Your screen.
Oh,
Your
what the
screen
fuck?
up. I'm gonna take it off, guys. This stream is not ending
My bad.
soon. You're okay.
My bad.
But so I still think the Incredible Hulk movie is the purest form of Hulk, and I love the Russo brothers, but I don't like what they did with the making Hulk goofy, but I kind of do. That's the weird thing about it. So
Yeah, it's a tough conundrum.
it is, because on one end I want Hulk like we had in Incredible Hulk again, but if you gotta have a guy making Hulk goofy, make it Ruffalo, you know, and
Yeah.
he has figured out a way to maneuver the comedy really really well. And She-Hulk is definitely playing into Goofy Hulk, but I think I'm getting more comfortable with it now that I'm kind of having it expanded upon. And the fact that the great thing about She-Hulk is it's just built for comedy. So it's built for comedy really well, and the jokes just are really good. And it's the humor is very adult too, which is something I like. It's very adult. It's not Miss Marvel or Spider-Man type humor. This humor is a lot more adult and really speaks. I think a lot of adults are going to like this show more. It's definitely catered more toward adults humor. Like it's not Deadpool adult, but it's catered toward adult.
How long
It's mature.
it was, runtime wise?
It's shorter than a lot of them, but that's the difference here. It's built for that. Like when you watch it, to me anyway, it's just built for the half hour.
It's 38 minutes long.
It
First
does.
episode.
It's a half hour sitcom, and I think that's great for this show in particular. Now, don't get me wrong; like the production value is good still. Like it doesn't have the production value of a half hour sitcom. It still has the production value of most of the Disney Plus shows, except for I still take a little issue with her CGI in particular.
But I remember
Like,
I remember those memes going around that like the CGI for that green orb
Yeah.
in Raid Shadow Legends was better than the CGI for She-Hulk.
It's a little better.
Bro.
They've improved
That's
it
dirty.
the slightest bit. Maybe they've improved it a little bit, but
I mean, yeah, that picture that I saw, they're not wrong. The CGI for Raid Shadow Legends was better than
absolutely,
She-Hulk at first.
absolutely. But and then the more I watch the show, the less I just noticed it, because she's honestly so great in the role. Like honestly, I think it's really good.
I don't get how you can CGI Ruffalo better than like. Why can't you CGI them both the same? Like, why is Ruffalo looking better? CGI
In their
than,
defense on that though, they've already had the foundation for Ruffalo in
That's
movie
true.
form,
Yeah,
so
fair
they can pull from
maybe
that. I guess.
maybe as this goes on, they'll better CGI her in the future.
But I think again for the half hour format, like half hour kind of sitcom format that the show has, and again it does it kind of, I'm not saying it's like The Office, it's not, but it's kind of like it in the sense that the characters, they talk to you, right? So you have that breaking of the fourth wall, and same thing with Tatiana Maslany's character, which Jennifer Walters is the character. Yeah, Jennifer Walters. She
The
breaks
lawyer,
the fourth
yeah.
wall a lot. I think that's going to be fun if we get like her and Deadpool together in a project at some point, because they're both going to be probably talking about how they could break the fourth wall to the audience while they're breaking the fourth wall, which I think could be a really fun project. But I honestly think the show is super funny. I think the way that her and Mark Ruffalo play off each other, I hope we do get a lot more of their dynamic. I hope that they're not ditching Ruffalo for the rest of the show. I hope this wasn't like just the pilot and that's it. Especially because they definitely set up more with Ruffalo's Bruce Banner later on in the show too. So or either that or in a different MCU project. But I think for this first episode, it really worked. But the other interesting thing, the reason I'm more so excited about She-Hulk is because, well, one, we're getting Daredevil. But the other thing is there's been a lot of talk about, like, this is actually going to be a fairly big crossover event. I mean, Spider-Man was in the script at one point. Did you guys hear that report?
I did not know.
They said Spider-Man was in the script, but because of the Sony deal, they had to take him out.
Oh wow.
So they are planning on, it seems like to me, and this is just my prediction, I actually think that this is going to be a major kind of crossover event, or a bigger one than we were anticipating, with different people coming in and out each episode. Now, I won't say anything about the first episode doing any of that, but as far as crossovers go, but I do think that this is going to be a much bigger crossover event than we were anticipating, especially she's a lawyer. We already know Wong's going to be in there. We know Abomination's going to be in there. Like Tim Roth's Abomination's going to come back. We know about Daredevil. I'm sure Kingpin's going to show up, right? I'm just throwing out predictions of people that can show up, and there is a lot of great, I'm not going to say there's crossover, but there's a lot of great cross-referencing between events that have happened in the MCU too in this one episode. Like, they did a good job making it's a completely different tone than anything we've seen in the MCU, so it's a different show, which I like that too. It feels very original for the MCU, but I like that they kind of are still able to cross-reference a lot of events that happen to make it feel very much in place of the MCU. So I enjoy it. I think it's good. I definitely recommend it to you guys. I'm interested to see what you think. I think the more it goes on, the better it's going to get. Now, that's not to say episode 2 comes out, because we've seen this before. Episode 2 is going to suck. You know what I mean? Like that's possible, but I have faith. I mean, it's 9 episodes, which makes me very happy that there's going to be more. So they have a lot of time to work their shit out in this one, and I think it'll be good. But all right, guys, let's get to the main event. Speaking of Disney Plus shows, let's start with Obi Wan Kenobi. I'm going to do this differently than what we did with the movie talk, because TV shows, they do week by week and all that. We could talk spoilers on these, so let's just let it wide out in the open. So we've already had a discussion on a different show about the finale of Obi-Wan, but this is going to be our time to really talk about the overall show and everything like that. So if you'd have told me when the announcements were coming out about all these Disney Plus shows, or just actually the announcements of all 3 shows we're going to talk about today in general, and you'd have told me I was going to like Stranger Things more than Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would have called you crazy. But let's be honest, Obi-Wan Kenobi was my most anticipated series of this year, and while I did actually really end up liking it, and I'm very happy with the finale and where everything went, I'm the story itself I'm happy with. I'm very happy with the story. I think it belongs in Star Wars canon overall. There are downfalls to it. It's not perfect. It's not as great as I think we were all hoping. We were kind of touching on that earlier, to where they do seem to struggle with utilizing the format of TV and utilizing the time. Like I mentioned the moment about Obi-Wan's brother. Why weren't there more moments like that to expand the lore? Yeah. I think that they kind of struggled sometimes with overall tone in terms of just switching between and by the way, the Vivian Lyra Blair, I've said this before on the channel, she is a phenomenal Leia. She is a great actress. I think she's a phenomenal Leia, and if we see her again in a different project as Leia, I'm okay with that. But I do think that with having her there, sometimes they did struggle between tone, not as bad as some other things have like this, but they've struggled between the tone of, you know, dealing with things that are more childlike, and then you having on the other side of it Vader, who's this horrifying figure. Sometimes Dave's kind of made a point about the Leia character. I don't agree with him entirely, but the one part of the point that I will agree with him on, in terms of, because your point was that basically that you just can't buy that Leia's bravery and all that, and her maturity at this point. I can, mostly because she reminds me a lot of my niece at her age as well. But that's besides the point. I think the part of your point that I do agree with is that with Vader coming to Moses Ingram really tracks down Leia and knows that Leia has the connection to Vader. Vader doesn't really know about the connection, but I think where the show, to me, it kind of failed is we didn't see enough of the fear in the child version of Leia. I feel like it had problems there. So meshing the two tones together because of her maturity, they kind of the thing that I think they missed is her fear. I think she would have had a little bit more fear in terms of Vader. So I'll agree with you on that.
That was pretty much almost exactly the entire point that I was making. Is like, I got a niece too. She says that she wants to eat eyeballs, and when I talk smack to her, she says she's gonna put me in an arm bar. She's as tough as they come, but like to the point you were just talking about, the scene with Reva, for instance, when she's in a room by herself, just her and Reva, she's the same exact age. She's very brave. She'd be pretty scared, and she'd come off a lot more scared than Leia did in that scene. So those were the more leading scenes where I was like, there wasn't any explanation of her fear or exploration, sorry, that I was wishing to see it at. And if I had gotten those in those small scenes, those were very pivotal for me and her character. And otherwise, like I said, I don't think she was the worst child actress ever. When I say phenomenal, though, I mean that's a bit heavy just for the sense of, you know, the only like phenomenal child actor I've seen in a long time is the Kid in Black Phone. So other than that, that's a title that I very hold close to the heart and don't hand out. Yeah,
he was great in that movie.
I still think she's phenomenal too. That's my personal opinion. I still think she is a phenomenal child actress. She's new, and I respect that. I think she's very good at capturing. I buy that she's Leia, and more so than I would have ever thought. And I also don't fault the show for using Leia in the show, and I do have new opinions about the show, guys, having just rewatched it recently, so I'll go through those as well. But I don't fault the show for using Leia. I still say, what else would have gotten Ben off world? It actually makes a ton of sense, and they had just come out with an article that initially Ben would have been on Tatooine the whole time. Well, we just saw Boba Fett on Tatooine the whole time. That would have been boring as hell to see again, so I'm glad that they used Leia to get him off world. It's the only thing that made sense for him to leave Luke, and so I'm glad that they utilized that. And Ewan McGregor kind of agreed with that sentiment when because he was so excited when they changed direction and didn't, or didn't leave him on Tatooine, because that was originally what the show was. So I'm glad that that's the reason that the writers were kind of switched around and not something worse, but I do see, I'm not saying this is exactly what happened because obviously I'm not there, but I do see behind the scenes meddling in not such a good way sometimes. Like there's times in the show that I definitely see. Today's point, and by the way, I laughed when it happened. It didn't bother me. Again, there's things that just didn't bother me week to week, and then when I got to rewatch it in a binge, it kind of sunk in a little bit more. So the scene where he's carrying Leia in the coat, okay, it did make me laugh when I saw it. Now that I rewatched it and I got to watch this a little bit more play through, like as if it were a film, and I got to analyze it more, I still think it could have been a good moment, and there could have been things that could have been done with it. But what ruins it to me is not the fact that he's carrying her in the coat, because that's actually, to me, it's a good laugh. It's the edit. It's the edit of them. They're just out in the base, right? And that's what ruins it, is the fact that they just cut to it. They don't. This goes again into, they don't really utilize their time right with these shows, because what they could have done is they could have been like, all right, they could have had a funny moment of you got to carry me in your coat, and then done that. But the way they just kind of jump to it does take away a little bit, because then you do have a logic problem there. You're not wrong, Dave, on that, because I'm going to give that to you. You're not wrong. You have a logic problem in the sense of they walk through the whole damn base like that, and they didn't really show it. But if you had,
I'm just glad that I'm not insane, because that was my biggest thing, is I laughed too when I saw it, but I was like, wait, what the fuck? What just happened? So I'm glad that I wasn't totally insane for having that visceral reaction.
You're not,
because I was looking pretty deeply into the scene there.
Yeah, no, you're not. I think it's actually the
and
edit.
I agree with you. It probably would have played off better too if there was a little bit of more lead up, and it just wasn't a jump into, okay, he's just fucking Muppet Manning this right now.
Build to it, help me buy it a little bit more. The thing I disagree with, the big criticism that I do disagree with everybody is Moses Ingram in general. I think that she actually did play Reva very, very well throughout the show. I think Reva's really good, and I really like her as an Inquisitor, as a character, as the third sister. To me, it does line up. That lines up. That makes total, complete sense. I think I think her storyline does work 100%. I even like Owen and Beru. I disagree with the criticism. I disagree with the criticisms on Owen and Beru not being protective of Luke. I don't understand why they wouldn't be. That's their job, is to protect Luke. And I think it actually adds more to New Hope when you get the sequence where they're kind of going out there protecting Luke personally. So when you get around to that, it's like, because you can look at New Hope on surface level. Let's say you hadn't seen any other Star Wars, no, none of the lore. You look at New Hope on surface level, you're like, man, his uncle's kind of a dick to him. You know what I mean? No wonder he didn't get that sad when they were dead. But you can look at it on surface level and look at that, right? And like, oh, his aunt like neglects him because his uncle's wondering where Luke is, and she's like, well, I don't know, he left early. You know, you can look at those things on surface level and not think that they are the best of Guardians, but I like that they are, and I like that we had that in the show to kind of tie back in to that. This is very technical. It's a very minor nitpick. While I do like the Reva character herself, I do have issues with. And this is actually, it's not even just Reva. It was just more so with Reva. I noticed it multiple times throughout the show. Now the Obi-Wan, this does not include the actual final battle between Obi-Wan and Vader, because I thought it is the best part of the show. It's what we came to see, and they delivered on that. It's awesome. That battle is incredible. There's no denying it.
The changing between his Darth Vader voice and his Anakin voice, that was really cool.
You can hate the rest of the show, but when you take that sequence, you cannot tell me that's bad. That is awesome.
I really did like the fact that they changed, between his Vader voice and his regular voice. I thought that
it's
was
fantastic, cool. Man, and it's still to this day hit my heart in a great way. And not to mention, I think Hayden Christensen did a phenomenal job. This is a really good comeback for him, and I would like to see him utilized more in flashbacks. He's going to be in Ahsoka, so he's either going to be a Force Ghost or a flashback, I'm sure.
Jumper too.
not in everything, but in Star Wars. I want to see him utilized more in Star Wars, because I really do think it was a great comeback, and he did.
For sure.
He hit the beats, he hit the emotions, and he did his job.
Did he play Vader the entire time?
Yes.
Yeah, everything was him.
Because if so, then he killed it. I mean, that's the thing is, people forget when you're playing Vader, it's not the same person. Like, it may seem small, but just the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, he did an excellent, very convincing
100%.
job.
I was gonna say
show on that.
every single scene he was in for the whole of Obi-Wan, he just delivered every time, man. He was just incredible.
And it goes back to what I've always said about Attack of the Clones. He's terrible in Attack of the Clones, but if you he's awful, but if he worked with the right director, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. George is not good with actors.
I hate Sand.
He's not good with actors. It's clear. I think with the right director, the right amount of push, the guy can do real magnificent. And I think that's one thing we got to give Deborah Chow over George, is she is great with actors. She's phenomenal with actors. I think the performances throughout are great.
And it's hard to act in the suit, and the fact that he did it he actually delivered acting the entire time in that suit was incredible.
Yeah. I'm still hung up. I can't lie about this. I'm still hung up on the fire scene. I am. When the fire,
when he just lets him go.
I'm hung up on it. I think
fuck, you put fire back.
But I think that there's a purpose for it. I do.
His abilities had to refresh.
I think it's because he's still a little bit of his Anakin side kind of came out. His feelings for Obi-Wan.
But I'm hung up on not having an explanation, because I think that Deborah Chow in her heart of hearts had a reason. I do. I really do, because the way she shoots it, you do see like this. It's like a sad Vader. The expression is there behind the mask.
Obi-Wan was hurt both times that the fires were put up, right? Because the fires were put up 2 different times. Right?
Obi-Wan was hurt, correct, but
that's why I was just wondering if he was hurt both times the fire.
Yeah,
because
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Like, and the second time it goes off, I know Vader got burnt, and I can accept that. Like, Anakin got burnt, so he has a fear of fire. But why didn't he
just put it out like he did the first time?
Right. But in my heart of hearts, I have to believe there's a reason, because of the way that Deborah Chow shot it.
I can't.
I feel like I feel like it's because the Anakin side of him still having feelings for Obi-Wan since he was his master. I feel like a bit of that overcame him in that scene, and he was kind of feeling bad for Obi-Wan and just let him go. I feel like that's my reasoning. I don't know.
I think if it was a separate event, I think if if it was like days apart or weeks apart or even years apart, the problem for me is that he just he started a fire, shish kebabbed him in it, was practically laughing about it, like, yeah, now it's your time, bitch. And then like 30 seconds pass, and it just doesn't fit Vader's character to be someone who's like, on the second go around when the fire's there, be like, perhaps I shouldn't be a maniac laughing at him. No, Vader's a pretty damn strict to the book. I'm going to throw you in the fire. That's my mood right now, and it's staying that way. He doesn't really question his own authority ever. So that didn't really make any sense. Again, if it was separate events, it would have, but that's one of the things I just try to pretend was not in the show. Watch the rest of the scene.
Maybe he was done playing with his food.
Yeah,
let him go to.
I don't know about that either.
He didn't go after him.
Yeah, maybe he wanted him to fully recover so that it was a fair fight.
If we were looking at Darth Vader 2 years in, I can accept the scene. But we're looking at Darth Vader 10 years in. I can't accept the scene. I think that there's a difference because if we're going by canon and the way that the comics have played, he's past his conflictedness. I mean, he's past being conflicted now. I mean, they covered that in the comics. He's past it. He's thrown that away. That's in his past. And I think Deborah Chow had a reason because of the way she shot that scene where he's looking at the fire. There's an intention there. There's something going through Vader's mind. But I don't like that in particular thing. Reason. No, I just don't like that in particular thing was left for the audience to guess. I do like when there are some things sometimes that the audience is supposed to talk about and guess and think about, but that thing in particular I don't, because again it
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, sure. It's hard to figure out to me that I don't mind things being complicated sometimes and having to give them multiple watches. And maybe in 10 years from now, I watch it again. I'm like, and there's more context to it with all the different things that we've had. And I'm like, oh, now I've rethought that. But now it doesn't work for me. You know, that's one thing there. But the other part of it that this is how we got off on this whole tangent. There was a technical issue I have with the show that I've noticed. Again, it's a minor nitpick pop up a few times. It's the lightsabers. And again, the Obi-Wan Vader fight is an exception, but the lightsabers, I don't think in any of the shows they've gotten the lightsabers quite right yet. Like the look of them, I think that the reason I have such a disconnect with the lightsabers and in this show especially, but what's that?
No, I didn't say about what.
Oh, sorry. In this show especially, I think the reason I'm having problems with the lightsabers especially is genuinely it's the effects. They don't look right. Like, I think honestly the lightsabers looked better in the prequels. Like, honestly, like the lightsabers have looked the best and the coolest in the sequels. But that's, you know, in terms of the effects of them, like they've done the best job with them in the sequels for sure. But I think that they've struggled in TV. Now, Ahsoka's lightsabers look great in Mandalorian. That was one that I thought they nailed sound design of them.
And I guess it's not I guess because it doesn't have sound or no particular sounds all the time, but it did look good. Was the Darksaber? That thing looks sick.
Darksaber looks good too. Yeah. Those are two that.
Luke. What about Luke?
I think that there's problems there. Like.
Yeah,
I liked it in the Boba Fett show more than I liked the look of the saber in the Mandalorian. I think I just noticed some. It's visually it looks strange to me. It's not terrible.
That it's so green, because that's one of the things that I noticed in Kenobi is that
they're
like their brightness level is like 2,000 fucking %.
I agree, and it hit me in the beginning of the show when you see the Order 66 scene and the Jedi's going off. It's a badass scene, but the saber,
the sabers are just too
when
bright.
you really like break it down, it doesn't look that great. Like the saber itself, like doesn't look all that great.
And I noticed that, which is why afterwards I went and I watched the when Anakin slaughtered the Sand People, because I was kind of in the dark.
Yeah.
And I looked at, what was the other big one in the dark? I looked at the sequels. I watched a lot of like the Kylo Ren's lightsaber in the dark. They really only did that for this show, and the other one is Luke's. Which is why I bring it up, is they really turn it up to like goddamn 1,000.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it look real is the issue.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point that's so overboard, you you can't even tell.
Yeah. And I understand. I'm really trying to be understanding because, like, I do understand it's TV and their budgets aren't as big as movies. Like, they're big, but people don't realize, like, they have to spread that out over all the episodes. The way they divvy it up is different in TV. So I'm trying to be accepting of that, but they
go a long way.
But they need to. They really need to. I think honestly, putting the more budget toward the lightsabers will go a long way. Just a little bit more to perfect them will go a long way with fans. I think that that's something that, and maybe maybe it is just me. I don't know, but like because I haven't heard a lot of people complain about the sabers in the show, and a lot of people seem to love them. I've just noticed it. And Obi-Wan, when he ignites his saber the first time, I'm excited, but it looks fat. Does it not look like majorly fat, like compared to like?
And it doesn't look as real as in other shows. It looks more plastic.
The sabers themselves look better in the prequels. Like, honestly, like the sabers, they look thin. Like when Luke had first ignited it in New Hope, like it was thin. And the like,
and more of a light blue than dark blue now.
Yeah, I think that they were going, especially in Obi-Wan.
Same thing with the green. The green was a lot more light green in the prequels than now, where it's like way too green.
Dark,
yeah. But the thing is the green saber in the beginning of this thing was skinny, like the prequels at least. But it was too green. You're not wrong. And there's times where it was too skinny and it looked too short in the opening scene. Like it looked a little short, and then like. When you get around to Obi-Wan, episode 3 is where I had the problem with the lightsabers 100%. It is color grading to a degree, but the other part of it was definitely the girth, girth of the thing.
Was that when Obi-Wan and Vader first like fought?
Yeah,
it's
okay as a scene. Again, it's effective. It's an effective scene, but it's the girth of the sabers that almost takes me out of it. And
the coloring too. Their coloring.
The color grading's not great. And the when he. There's one shot in particular that really freaking bothered me, where the lightsaber was kind of pointing forward in episode 3, and it really looks like you could see like the end of it. You know, that there's something about the way that George did sabers or in any of the other movies, even the sequels, you see the tips of the lightsabers, they don't look like plastic. You know, and when Obi-Wan did it in this show, it looked like plastic to me when you saw the tip of his saber. It looked like a plastic thing. I know that's actually what it is, but the effects need to cover that up more, you know?
They're supposed to make us not believe that it's a plastic thing right there. That's kind of their job.
Like with the dark saber and Ahsoka's lightsabers, like those looked a lot more real.
Something I will say about episode 3 while we're on
Vader's saber looked good though. Hold on, sorry, really quick. Vader's saber looked good though. They did a great job, which I think
and all the Imperial ones like Reva's sword, like those.
But Reva cool. Though was another one though where I found there were problems with the color grading. There were times it looked way too pink to me. You know what I mean? Like
that's fair. Yeah.
From time to time, like Vader's has always kind of had like a pinkish hue, and that's just a lot of that's just due to the old style of color grading. So they brought that forward. But I think with Reva, you got to go real red, and maybe that's because I saw Kylo Ren's, and Kylo Ren's saber is dope.
True.
The color grading on his saber is dope, and so like I really think they could have used that a lot more with Reva, and especially the way they do it in Clone Wars. In Clone Wars, while the lightsabers look flimsy because the animation style. Not Clone Wars, I'm sorry, Rebels. They look flimsy because of the animation style. At least the color grading has them like a lot more red. So I was expecting the Inquisitors to be a lot more red. Vader's always kind of had a pinkish hue, but they got his down perfectly. By the time we were at the final battle, I thought they did a good job. Like it was very passable by the time we got to the final battle. But there were a lot of moments in the show, and I noticed it in a couple of the other, like Luke's saber and the finale of Mandalorian. There are times where it is a little too green, and then sometimes, like in the beginning of Obi-Wan, he swings it and it looks a little short. I don't know why that is, but like there's just. It's almost like the effect got cut off. I don't know, but sorry, Dave, you were about to make a very good point, and I cut you off, so go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. You made good points and close that out. And all I was going to speak to is a scene in episode 3 where, you know, Kenobi and Vader start to meet again. There was another thing I had in terms of the way it was shot and everything. I thought it worked good for Obi-Wan, but it worked good in the finale too. And that is like, usually when Darth Vader steps onto the battlefield, I feel very like intimidated. Like the hallway scene is a perfect example, but not just the hallway scene. In all of the original trilogy, and even the prequels, when you get that little bit of Revenge of the Sith, he's very menacing every step that he takes, every time he ignites his lightsaber. And in the episode 3 fight, it all felt very small. And I think lightsabers were probably part of it, where I'm looking at Kenobi's lightsaber and it looks really fucked up and it's super blue for some reason. It's lighting up the entire scene. But that whole scene in episode 3 just felt so small to me because a lot of the shots, the environment. I mean, when you look at Vader, it was like he was a damn mile away. There's no music queued up or anything. And the music not being queued up is fine for certain things. But when you have him like a mile away, there's like not a good music cue or anything. It just didn't make me feel like, oh shit, Darth Vader's here. I was kind of like, he's kind of far. Why don't you just start walking? You'll probably be fine. Like,
I think the thing that kind of had me nervous about that fight in episode 3 too is, and maybe a lot of the other audiences felt this way, I don't know, but I wasn't honestly sure, because I think there was a lot of fear in episode 3 of that's going to be it. That's the rematch that they've been hyping up, you know, at the time, especially because we didn't know we were going to get that amazing fight at the end, which truly was. But I don't disagree with what you're saying there, Dave, at all. I think a lot of that, I don't mind that. Like, this is going to sound really weird, but that moment, I actually agree with what you're saying. I actually, in my head, kind of nicknamed it A24's Star Wars. It's like if A24 made a Star Wars movie, it'd feel kind of like in that smaller environment. That's not an insult entirely. Like I not really an insult. I mean, it really did feel like A24 Star Wars, the environment. And I don't mind that, because a lot of the environment that they had that did feel small actually really worked in terms of Vader's, the sort of fear that he needed to instill. One thing I loved about the show, we got to point it out, Vader was scary. I love that, and they needed to. Maybe it needed a little more of it, but again, if this show was called Darth Vader, I'd be complaining a lot more. But it was called Obi Wan Kenobi. But the fact that we got it at all, I do love Deborah Chow's approach to Vader in general. I think that she actually does understand that character a lot more than I think a lot of people are giving her credit for. I really think that, I mean, the Rogue One scene was amazing too, but she like took that in stride, and she was like, yeah, I want to make this whole show, the vibe we got in Rogue One, it needs to be Vader the whole time. And that's something that she did very, very well. And I really enjoy that, because that is what we want to see. We've never been able to explore Vader in this time period, where there's what I love about Vader in this time period is nobody in the world really knows what he is. You know what I mean? They don't know if he's man or machine. And I love that. And even Obi-Wan, before the confrontation, which is something I love that they explored, doesn't really know what he is anymore. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what he is. You
can feel it in the scene where Obi-Wan's hiding and he looks out and Vader's sitting there like choking the townspeople and like just murdering them. And it's like he's looking at Kenobi as if he knows he's there, but maybe he doesn't. And it's just like the way he looks at him is like, what the fuck is that? Is that a human? Is that the guy that I know? Is that a fucking robot?
What have you become?
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I really enjoy that. It really, to me, played right back into, there's a great moment in Rebels where Ahsoka's meditating in the Jedi temple, in the Sith temple, I think, because they have to find the holocron, her and Ezra Bridger. And there's that great moment where Anakin, she has the vision of Anakin, right? And it's Anakin talking to her like he's her master again. And she's talking back. She looks up, she says like, master. And then he just goes full dark and becomes Vader and is just like, look what I've become. You know what I mean? And she has that great moment where she just lets out that horrific scream, as it says in mine and Jose's short film script, horrific scream, and really it does, like, and it's so good. It's such a good performance by Ashley Eckstein in that Rebel show. I think that's one of my favorite scenes still to this day. But anyway, it took me back to that where you heard Anakin say, look what I've become. Obi-Wan's thinking, what the hell have you become? You know, like it was just this parallel. He didn't say that, but out loud, but
he was definitely thinking
it's
that.
implied. It's implied heavily.
Yeah, with his facial expression. Yeah,
Until he had to strip back the layers to figure that out. I mean, literally strip back the layers when he cuts them open, or cuts his armor open a little bit, and
he cuts his armor and his mask. He cuts that
right
like in half. Yeah,
and then he sees this is a machine, and that's I love that
because he can't live without it.
It ties right back into New Hope. He's more a machine now. That man, I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So things about the show, exactly. I'm eternally grateful to the show for moments like that, so I can go back and watch New Hope and rethink it. And that's something. But we can't deny it did miss the mark in a lot of places. And there's that's unfortunate too. But I still like it a lot. I like it a lot, and I know it's typical of me. Everything Star Wars I like. I do. I eat it up, man. I mean, it's Rise of Skywalker. I like the movie. I have a lot of fucking problems with it, but I still don't dislike the movie overall. I still like the movie. I had a fun time watching it in the theater. You know what I mean? It's maybe it's just me, but I tend to find a lot of connections in these things that we're getting, and I don't think it's perfect, and I recognize that it's not, and I recognize that a lot of people complain about these things, and I understand why, but for me, I don't know, I like it. I still like having it. I like that it's present. I'd rather have this than nothing at all, I guess. I don't know. That's just my take on it. So I don't know. Anything else to add about Obi-Wan before we grade?
Yeah, I'll never forget that stupid motherfucking dinosaur.
Dinosaur. Am I blinking?
Yeah, you're drunk again.
No.
The stupid fucking dinosaur in a leather vest that stands with a mohawk and is shooting at Obi-Wan and he can't hit him. Like Obi-Wan doesn't like dinosaurs. He's still one-shotted Grievous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I know exactly what
one
you're
scene
talking
that
about.
every time I rewatch it makes me want to stop when I'm like, dude, he's fucking massive. His gun isn't even good. He's right there. Like, just shoot him. just look at where you're shooting, and you can't miss him. He's a dinosaur with a mohawk.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about now.
Other than that, I'd agree with you over the sentiment of I'd rather have it than not have it.
Yeah.
I did. There is a guy who cut Kenobi into a movie.
I heard about this cut. I hear it's really good. So I did
not get to see it. One of the parts that I did get to see is that he said, and it was my biggest issue with Reva, is that she came off extremely annoying when she is a character that not only did I want to see menacing, but after I saw her very annoyingly, I needed to see menacing. And the way that he does, because I don't think the actress is bad. I think it's the direction. I said that right from the start. And sure enough, when I saw the scenes that he spliced together, Reva is fucking badass. So in my head, whenever she's talking, I just kind of elevate her music out and remember that cut, because the cut that he put together of Reva makes her look fucking terrifying. A lot of it was just cutting out, the infighting with the other Inquisitors and that bullshitting, and it just overall made me like her a lot more. And after doing that, it just makes me enjoy the show more to just ignore what's happening in the now with her character. Like I said, I did like the kid Leia over nothing. I from the start didn't have an issue with them bringing in Leia. I thought that they would get away from it in some respects, which is kind of speaking more so to like you. Speaking of the time of TV shows, I thought that they would utilize time better, and that's how they would, use Leia to reel him in, but then, get away from her over time. I don't think that was a huge issue of the show, but something
I don't disagree with that entirely. Yeah, I get what you're saying there too. Yeah, there's a little bit more of that too, because, and who was Game of Thrones gal that was in this was a really good character, and I don't mind her dying.
Oh yeah. Oberyn's wife.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal's character's wife.
Martell in Game of Thrones, and then she was a fake Imperial officer that was helping all the all the Jedi pass through, kind of running the Underground Railroad there. Quinlan had come through there, and I liked her a lot. My only complaint on that one, honestly, was that I just didn't get to see her earlier.
Right.
I wish I had seen
her. Because her character was really good.
Or maybe
I feel
not.
Like if I had an episode more to live with her as a character, I would have cared a bit more about her passing.
Maybe not earlier. I think in the time of the story that she came in was fine. I just wish that we had more time throughout to flesh it out, because I think her death scene, and I was perfectly okay with it. I thought it was a really good, well constructed scene. I thought really well directed. The performances were good,
yeah.
and I felt for her dying because of the performance, but it would have hit so much harder had we had more time with her and Obi-Wan and getting that relationship together. And
I cried in that scene.
it's a sad scene. It's well constructed.
That shit made me cry, bro.
It's
Because
well
especially like,
constructed.
what she said right before she sacrificed herself. I mean, that shit just got me in tears,
Yeah,
man.
it's well constructed.
Yeah.
It's well constructed.
She was a great actress. And
Yeah,
I agree. If I misspoke by saying it earlier because it would have made sense, but just more time overall. If I'd seen her in it longer, I would have connected more. And that's something that I just really quickly, I feel like some of the Disney Plus shows are just doing overall is here and there when they do kill off characters. It's like, well, I don't really give a shit about this person because you just kind of dropped them on my lap. And the only time I really do care is over the performances of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if I had this guy for another episode or two, I really probably would have been in shambles here. But...
Yeah. These people, the group, the squad that they have together, they're clearly going to be very instrumental in the construction of the rebellion, I would imagine. So I do hope we get to see more of O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s Roken. I think Andor would be a great place to put him in there because I thought he was really good too. I thought he was good in the show, man. I thought he did very well, and he's a character I'm kind of fascinated with. He clearly has quite the leadership role in that squad, and I do want to know how instrumental they were in the formation of the rebellion. We didn't get any of them in Rebels, so I want to in the Rebels animated series, so I want to know that stuff, and Andor would be a perfect place to tie all that in. I hope that O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s Roken pops back up there, and I do want to get to know more of those characters.
Ice Cube too.
Maybe Ice Cube too. Maybe Ice Cube's
maybe
Quinlan.
Maybe O'Shea gets bullied, and then Ice Cube just steps on in real quick and says, a pistol whip a bitch. I'm down.
Yeah. It would be cool, man, to actually get them and then actually have interactions with Quinlan Voss. Quinlan was teased in the series in Andor. It would be cool to have a live action
I was
Quinlan.
waiting for him.
I know, me too. And we never got him, and that's fine. I get it. Again, I'd complain more. If the show was called Quinlan Voss, I'd be pissed, but it's not, and I get that. But at the end of the day, like I do want more. I would love to see Quinlan utilized in live action. I think that's a character that needs to be introduced to more of the audience, and they would love him if they do it right. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to live action casting, that's of animated characters or whatever, that's one place that the shows I think have done tremendously. They've done a great job with these live actions. Like Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka, I couldn't imagine it any better for that version of Ahsoka, or that take on Ahsoka, and same with the Vivilia Blair on it with Leia. I think is great. So I would like to see them translate Quinlan Voss over, and I think they do well.
And in sidebar for the video games, if Iden Versio and fucking Fallen Order.
Oh yeah,
Cal Kestis. The actors who play those video game characters are actually really.
I know they're really good actors.
And actors.
Yeah,
it's a sin if they don't come in at some point.
I agree.
This universe.
I agree.
That would be my biggest disappointment, and again, I wouldn't hold them to death to it, but because it's something I want, not something that we need. But that'd be my biggest sin of like, you motherfuckers.
I agree.
Those two actors are just excellent. To not bring them in is just wasted.
I agree. I think Cal can definitely come into Andor at some point. I think he fits that world. I mean, he's around during the time. So I would like to. I think that would be a really good move, business wise too, to push Jedi Survivor, the game, when it comes out, to just have them live action in Andor. It's the only place that it makes sense for him to show up. If not, if we get him in Bad Batch animated, I'll be happy with that.
It would have been cool to see. I thought he was going to be in season 1, but cool, we didn't get him. But it'd be cool to see him in Bad Batch.
We might, in too, because we got Fallen Order ties in Bad Batch season 1. They used the world of, so there were definitely ties to it. So it would make sense if we saw him in season 2 of Bad Batch for sure. But Andor would be the place to put him too, and I think he'd be perfect for that,
especially to go live. That's the place to drop him.
And you're right about Iden Versio, man. I've been kind of wondering where Janina Gavankar has been to play her, because she was fantastic in the game, and I think she'd translate to live action. She is a good actress. She would do live action very, very well.
And it's one of my favorite shows is The League. And
oh my god,
she's like
she's
such a side character, and I love watching her come into the show, because it's like, she's one of the problems with The League is it's like you could tell that they're acting almost at many times. Even though I love Mark Duplass and them, and then she comes in as like a side character, and it's like you're better at acting than everybody else on the show. Why aren't you here in every episode?
Is she the one that plays?
I'd love to see her.
Is she the one that
She's
plays
great.
Shiva?
Yeah, Shiva. She plays
Okay.
Shiva in the league, and she's just outstanding. Ida Versio's character is one of
voiced
the best
she
things
voiced
come out of Disney, and it'd be just a shame to not get her live action in something in some way somehow. I don't care if it's the smallest cameo.
I was gonna say she did
Iconic character.
She did really good voicing in the Battlefront 2 campaign as well as that main character you play as.
Quick,
really good voicing.
That's what Ida Versio. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping she drops in live as. That's
I honestly
it's such a
she
solid
what was
fucking
the show they were going to do, the Rangers of the Old Republic show, or the new Rangers of the New Republic? Why isn't Ida Versio taking that on now? Like, why not rewrite it to her? You know what I mean? I think that
was my initial thought on it.
Yeah, my initial thought was to take the crew from the Aftermath novels, because they can easily be teamed up as the Rangers of the New Republic and make it, because I want them brought to live action, but you can team them up with Iden and it would make a lot of sense. You know, like you can.
Hey, bro, Disney, get me on that casting, bro.
Because the Aftermath novels take place at the same time as the Battlefront 2 campaign, like literally the same exact moment. They parallel with each other in a lot of ways. They are the team that is in the Aftermath novels is also fighting, not alongside Iden, but they're in the Battle of Jakku at the same time she is. So why don't you team them up, make the Rangers show? I want to see that. That's the stuff I'm really looking for, but we'll see. I'm hoping.
Disney, get some fresh faces. Get me on there, bro. I'll be in that.
And quick shout out, and we'll give props here to Disney. Mayfield is one of the best castings ever with Bill Burr in Star Wars because he's friends with Jon Favreau. That's just in the Mandalorian.
I got a figure right here, Mayfeld, right there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's Mayfeld. It's kind of hard to see right now.
I fucking love him, dude. He's so good.
Yeah, I love
Burr
Mayfeld.
Is so fucking honey. Like that's the best comedic relief you could just drop into the show is to drop Bill Burr in his Mayfield, and he played so well throughout the Mandalorian, coming in and out. If I never see him again, I won't be mad because he was just that good.
Let's grade this thing. Let's grade Obi-Wan really quick. Oh, quick. Well, last thing we got to mention. Great move on the part of Deborah Chow and the team to bring in Qui-Gon Jinn at the end. I thought that
was amazing.
It was the perfect cherry on top to everything. I mean, you get that.
It was a perfect ending, really.
Yeah, that great. I mean, everything at the end to me was the perfect cherry on top. Between Obi-Wan bringing Luke the toy and Owen asking if he wanted to meet him and him dropping the hello there. That was so fantastic, and
I did like that.
And then right after that, him going off, and then he sees Qui-Gon Jinn, and I even loved it. Really did. They gave the show like a really good like epilogue type thing, right? Where he was talking to Leia, and you know, if you ever need the help of a old man, you know where to go. You know, that stuff was awesome, and it did wrap it up to where it's like, okay, now I buy how this ties into New Hope, and yeah, seeing him get to Qui-Gon, I was like, thank God, because that was always teased at the end of Revenge of the Sith, in the sense where almost it really begged for a sequel, you know, a follow-up.
Yeah.
And
for today, I still get goosebumps.
I know
when he goes a former master.
Yeah,
and he's like Qui-Gon, and that still is like, oh, what the fuck?
And
I literally said, "Oh," in my chair when I heard his voice. I was like, "Oh."
I know
shit.
it always to me in Revenge of the Sith felt like a cliffhanger. So I'm so glad they put that cherry on top, even if it was for the seconds that we got him. Thank God it happened. So and Liam Neeson's full of shit, so we can say that officially he's full of shit. So I love that he came though. I'm so happy he was there and involved.
Those Albanians didn't even take his daughter.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
All right, let's grade this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna give Obi-Wan. I think I was at a must watch. I'm gonna give it a might watch. I'm switching a little bit. I do have some more complaints, as you could probably tell, than I did before. There's still probably a couple more I didn't mention, but honestly, it's a good time. It makes sense. It's great for you Star Wars fans. I give it a might watch. Jose, where are you at with Obi-Wan?
I think it was a might watch the first time we were talking about it, and I'm gonna just stick with might watch just because it's a cool show overall. I like the ties. Obviously there's gripes here and there with it, but overall, a pretty good show. So I'll give it a might watch.
All right, Dave, where are we at?
I never watch. I'm scared.
I'll give it a might watch, and then I'm gonna give the edited version of Kenobi that may or may not be out there for your viewing pleasure a must go, because that just basically eliminates everything I hate about it.
All right. That's Kenobi. Well, we're gonna get to our next show here, which we'll try to keep. I mean, we're gonna have a lot to say about all these, I think, but again, we're kind of hitting the hour 14 minute right now. Hour 14 minute, yeah, hour and 14 minute mark.
I feel like our last one. I feel like Miss Marvel might be a little shorter.
Yeah, that might be a little short. There's less to say about it, having it being new to lore and all that. But yeah, no, for sure.
This is gonna be a long one.
This could be longer, so I want to get it out of the way. Let's talk about Stranger Things 4. Now, I'm going to start with this. I mean, Stranger Things 4, again, created by the Duffer Brothers, who are great at what they do. I am not a fan of 3. I'm not a fan of Stranger Things 3. I had a lot of problems with Stranger Things 3. Which
not my favorite of the seasons, but I liked it.
That's good. I think, personally, and it goes back into what I was saying in the beginning when we were talking about Obi Wan, if you'd have told me I would have liked Stranger Things 4 more than Obi-Wan, I would have called you insane.
Because... Yeah, for me, if you would have told me that, I wouldn't have disagreed completely with it, because I was probably as ready for season 4 of Stranger Things as I was for Obi-Wan, just because I was ready to see where Stranger Things was going to go next in terms of the cliffhanger we were left with in season 3.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say that my anticipation for them were probably like on the same level.
Yeah.
And I probably would have agreed with liking Stranger Things 4 more than Obi-Wan. And now, having watched it, I agree with it. I mean,
yeah,
this season was, like, oh my gosh, man, this was probably one of the best seasons of Stranger Things that we've gotten.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite season of Stranger Things yet. I was
trying to say it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know where I'd rank it yet. I honestly don't. I definitely need to give them...
I'd have to watch it again, yeah.
I need to give them all another watch.
Binge the entire, all 4 seasons in one.
That's the only way I think that I can truly judge it.
That's gonna take a lot of time out of your life. That's gonna be like, that's like what, 16 hours maybe?
Yeah, it's of your life. Probably more than that with some of these 2.5 hour episodes they got in this thing. But
there's only one, I think, which was the
yeah, but there's a couple that are still closer to 2, just even then.
Yeah, there's like an hour 30, an hour 40.
Right. Yeah, there's a few like that. So yeah, man, I don't think this show was, I don't think the season was perfect. I really don't. I still have some problems with it. Like, I do think that for a long time in the beginning of the show, like, there's definitely, I think the season was a little overlong. I won't lie to you. It was a little much. They didn't need as much as they needed.
I will say the first maybe like 2-3 episodes, I was about to be like, no, what is this? I just don't want to, like, it took me a while to get through the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes, just because of how boring and just cringe it was.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me to get through those like first 2-3 episodes. But then once it started getting good, I was like, okay, yeah, now I'm going to binge the rest of this.
Yeah, I'm definitely too at a point where I'd rather a show feel too long than too short as well. Like, it goes back to the conversation of the utilization of the TV format. At least the show did utilize the time, and it actually did. It utilized the time of TV to give us the extra lore, and it built out everything very, very well. But then you got a lot of time, like, there's too much time with Joyce and on the airplane. I mean, come on, and like there's so much time with her on the airplane. She's gone for a good amount of the season, and there was so much that you didn't really need of Joyce in the show. And I like Joyce as a character, I do, and I'm glad that they dumbed her down a bit, because I thought one of my biggest problems in 3 was all the jokes that Joyce has, and they still played into it for the people that did like it, but then they dumbed it down at times. There was a lot more dramatic with Joyce this time around.
I really did like the stuff with Joyce and Murray, honestly.
Yeah,
in this show, I thought it was some pretty funny stuff.
I liked it. I didn't dislike it. I just thought we had too much of it. There was times I thought you could have cut it back.
That's fair,
and that's some of their stuff you could have cut down for sure. But I was happy again with Joyce, because they did dumb her down. The humor, they made her better. You know, they definitely
made her more serious.
She's more balanced in this. Yeah. More dramatic stuff. Same with Hopper. I'm glad they gave him more dramatic stuff. That
dude's looking fit now, by the way. That dude's he's ripped. That guy really worked out for this show.
Yeah, I think he worked out for Hellboy and then just kept the shape, when he did Hellboy. But
But I guess it also fits into the whole being starved to death at a Russian.
And it did. It fit in very, very well. Yeah.
It fit in very well with this whole Russian concentration camp, not really getting fed much.
Yeah. I still think till this day that David Harbour was going to stay dead and did Hellboy because he thought he was going to get a franchise. I think they really killed him off for that reason.
But then Hellboy did so bad.
Hellboy did, yeah. I'm still of that mind, but luckily again he got into shape because it fit into the story very well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought he was excellent this season.
He looked for his age, man. He's looking good.
Yeah, certainly.
He went from dead butt to six pack like real quick.
I don't look that good at 29. He looks that good at
neither. I don't look that good.
You know,
I'm 22 and I don't even look that good.
Right.
Jesus.
And so but his stuff was good. I think some of the Hopper stuff you still could have cut down just a bit.
I really did like his stuff with him and that other Russian prisoner who's like a double agent. I like that stuff between them.
You did
really good stuff.
I liked most of it. I liked most of it. Again, I think it's the same thing with Joyce. I think you could have just cut down some of it, you know, and just tighten the runtime. Going back to your point about like the first 3 episodes though, and especially like it felt too long. It felt like they could have been like certain scenes and stuff could have been cut and you didn't really need it or like done differently to the fact where like I just felt like they were too long because I think there's too much like cringe and too much. I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me. Felt a little messy. Felt a little directionless, the jock storyline, Lucas wanting to be a jock now.
A jock with the basketball team, yeah. I didn't really like it.
No. But then again,
I feel like it didn't fit him. You know what
didn't. I mean? I still kind of enjoyed the payoff of it because we got that cool fight toward the end and the way they
between him and what's his name? Oh, I forget.
Yeah, but
oh my gosh, the main basketball player.
Yeah,
I forget his.
But
it starts with a J. I think it's like James or something like that.
I think a lot of the actors that played the jocks just came off like cartoon characters to me. So that's another one of my complaints. Like they were very hard to take seriously in the show and it's a show where we have some great, phenomenal child actors again, and they kind of
aren't really child anymore, but
not anymore. But the show was. At the beginning, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it was almost like their gimmick. They had this fantasy show with phenomenal child actors, you know, and that was kind of a big thing, like with Stranger Things when it had first started.
The thing is, they can still play a child. Exactly, they can still play a child,
right? They are still very talented, and so when you contrast that with these jocks that feel like cartoon characters when they act, it's not good.
They outshine those jocks by a tenfold.
It just feels very imbalanced.
Now, Eddie was probably my favorite in the show, man. His stuff was great. I loved him from start to finish.
And Eddie is cartoonish too in the beginning, but
it plays well for him.
Yes, that I liked. The way that they used Eddie was good, and at first, yeah. And at first, I'll admit,
it played well.
I didn't know how I felt about Eddie, but damn it, they made me love him by the end of it. And, he became.
And oh my gosh, his guitar scene. Oh, dude, it was
I'm
amazing.
convinced that that guitar scene of him playing Master of Puppets is the greatest single moment in all of television.
Bro, it's amazing.
It's pretty good.
I started jamming out with him when he started doing that, bro. I was like, oh,
now,
dude, fuck yeah.
For me personally, I have a brother, Elliot, who is just like Eddie. I mean, he really is. Growing up, my brother would go into the garage, Elliot, and he'd just play guitar, and I just have to guess the song, and he could play BYO.
Oh, you did, yeah,
note for note. And so when I saw Eddie, because it's like fucking the Duffer Brothers. I told Elliot afterwards.
Keep talking about this, guys. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, I just gotta go take care of something. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you told me about this, Dave. About like you and your brother used to just jam out.
He doesn't even watch Stranger Things, so I sent him a text like, "Dude, you need to sue the Duffer Brothers because these motherfuckers copied your life story out here." I sent him that scene. I was like, "Is that not something you would do?" And it's like him on top of the trailer. Friends are about to die, blasting Master of Puppets as loud as he can. That
with you right next to him.
I was gonna say that's literally me going, fucking, I'm Dustin over there, just head bobbing along, and that character just being, it hit hard for me, and I'm not gonna lie. Quick critique to most of you people out there. One of the biggest pet peeves I have is people that If you're someone who just found Metallica through the show, that's dope. Go blast Metallica. You know what I'm saying? If you just found out what Master of Puppets is now through Stranger Things, I have zero problem with that.
Yeah,
I think that's dope.
That was me,
More people blasting Master of Puppets on my end, the happier I am.
bro.
That's cool.
I play that in the car on the way to work every day.
That's how I feel about that. But what I don't like, and I have to deal with on almost a daily basis with some of my fiance's friends, is these super white popular bitches. These blonde Starbucks drinking whores that are out here saying, I would be Eddie's soulmate. I love him so much. No, you wouldn't. You listen to fucking Lil Uzi, okay? Relax. You never listen to Metallica in your life. You're nothing like Eddie. You have nothing in common with Eddie. You have Eddies at your school. You basic white bitch drinking your Starbucks, and you fucking brush over him and bump into him in the hallway and say you. So don't pretend like, oh,
and
Eddie's
you see them,
and you see them,
you're
a liar.
You see them sitting in the cafeteria alone, and you just brush by them like they don't even exist.
And that is my pet peeve. Anyone else? Any of the? I just found Master of Puppets through Stranger Things. I'm gonna blast it every day. Fucking awesome. I couldn't care less. The more people blasting Metallica, the more I love it. But the people that are like, Eddie would be my soulmate, and they're like the basic white bitches and pink pets, it's like, no, you have Eddie in your school. You don't talk to him. You're not very nice to him. You're an asshole. He's not your soulmate. Fuck you. That's one of my pet peeves in real life.
I want to go back to an earlier point you were making, Dave. I wasn't here, but I was listening. One of the things it has. I agree with you. If you found Metallica through the show, that's fantastic. But
that was me.
Yeah, really. I mean, I was baffled by how many people didn't know Master of Puppets. You know, I was baffled.
I had heard of Metallica before. I just never listened to any of their music.
Yeah.
And then after listening to Master of Puppets in this show, man, I'm like, wow.
Oh, they're one of the greatest of all time. I mean, but it baffled me that how many people really didn't know. Like, I'm not dissing anybody by that. I was just baffled by it. That's all I'm saying. Now,
yeah.
Now, did you guys see? I do want to talk about Eddie in this regard as well. Did you guys see that? It was a Comic-Con. It was like a Wizard Con. It was in London or something along those lines. Where did you catch that stuff? That to me was crazy. I know this has nothing to do with the show.
Yeah, you're talking about like with in terms of like the autographs and shit.
Yeah.
And he was yelled at.
Right.
Yeah, he was yelled at.
You gotta hurry up because they oversold like fucking idiots.
I read about that. Yeah.
But they showed him, somebody had asked him about that, and just like that, Joseph Quinn just seems so genuine to me because he got so emotional about that, you know, and it was just, it was a very real moment. And
that's how much he cares about his fans.
The guy, by the way, somebody I want to bring up, who I actually think he really intrigues me as a talent and as an actor. And
Vecna.
Yes, Jamie Bauer is somebody I was not familiar with. Apparently, he's been doing music for like a really long time.
This was like the first thing that I had seen him in, and bro, he played Henry Creel to it. Like his role in this was amazing.
He's fantastic, and the way that him and Millie Bobby Brown played off each other.
She was like actually terrified when like he was Vecna and they were like shooting stuff. Like she said in an interview, she was like actually terrified every single time she had an interaction with
that's
Vecna.
Why they did that too, because a lot of people were asking, why didn't you just see like CGI it? Why did you go with the suit? And that was their answer, was like, oh dude, you should have seen everyone's fucking face when they had to deal with the Vecna. They were legitimately that
was all like makeup and shit too. I saw a time lapse of them doing it to Jamie Bauer, and it was all makeup. And
I saw that too.
There's that meme picture of Vecna drinking Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, Vecna's actually more human than we thought.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see this guy work more though, for sure.
Yeah,
because
I can't wait for season 5 and to see what they do with him, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot more of him in this season.
And if you see him in real life, I mean, he talks nothing like Vecna in reality, and like
he doesn't.
Like he doesn't have
it's because he's British.
He doesn't have a deep voice at all, though. It's so high pitched, and his voice work is actually really phenomenal when you look at that. But
between Vecna and Henry Creel, like the two different voices he puts on, is phenomenal.
Real quick though, I mean, I do want to point out Millie Bobby Brown shout out's about to live very close to me. She's going to Purdue University here, so I'm very.
Did you see who she's dating?
Oh, I fucking love Purdue.
Yeah.
Do you see who she's dating right now?
Oh yeah, I can't remember though.
She's dating Bon Jovi's son.
That's right. That's who it is. Yeah, I knew it was somebody's son or something like that. But
yeah, Bon Jovi's son. Yeah.
Short sidebar, because Dom will appreciate this. Have you ever had XXX root beer from Lafayette over by Purdue?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Triple X is my favorite root beer, and I'm a root beer connoisseur.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I go out of my way to go to Lafayette, Indiana, get some Triple X, get a peanut butter burger. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Millie
Peanut
Bobby
butter
Brown,
burger.
go eat it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
and Cool Whip burgers, they're fucking good, man. They're fucking good.
Although
Don't
do
judge
have,
it till you
I
try
agree
it.
with you
no,
on the
Shit.
peanut butter, but yeah.
no,
I
I once had a peanut butter and like spicy jam burger. It was actually pretty good.
Sorry. So I lost track though on the Purdue thing. Anyway, the finale. I want to talk about the finale.
The fucking movie, you mean? The
Yeah.
movie of an episode.
It is to me the single greatest episode of television I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%.
And that's
without a shot of a doubt.
that's due to it is the
Not
most
due to.
it's due to it being, I think, the most ambitious episode of television out there, and honestly
Probably one of the longest too.
this season is the most ambitious season of Stranger Things in so many ways, you know, between the storytelling, the effects, the gloss, and it is everything, man.
The emotions, goddamn, bro, pulling on our heartstrings.
My
every
God.
single fucking episode.
I'm gonna tell you who I actually think though is, and this is my personal opinion, I think was the standout of the season was, and truly surprised me was Natalia Dyer as Nancy. I thought was the best she'd ever been in this season. And to me, she stood out amongst everybody. To me, Eddie is an obvious one, but like to me, like I think Natalia Dyer is really overlooked in this show, and this season in particular. And I was so thrilled because
I also like Jonathan's friend. He was really funny.
because she deserves it.
Oh,
But they wasted Nancy last season, and they used her so well in this season, and she did so much. And man, I loved it. I love the scene too where, oh god, I love the scene where they
should have picked Steve.
Nothing's done yet. But I love Steve, man. I love Steve.
her.
Oh god, I actually thought she was gonna bite it at the end though, because at the end when she was going into the upside down.
I think season 5 she's gonna go with Steve.
We'll see.
I don't want her anymore. We don't want her.
Leave Jonathan's high ass and just go to Steve.
She had that chance. We want her gone now.
Oh, by the way, who's Stoner Jonathan's friend? He was great.
Argyle.
Argyle. Thank you.
Every single bit that he was in this show, I fucking loved.
He was great.
He was
great. I love Argyle. Yeah.
But by the way, what a dark fucking scene it is when one of the things that really struck me, because like, you know, Stranger Things has some dark shit, but they made the scene I feel so surreal. Part of the, oh man, I really don't think I should use that as an example. It's the scene in the house where they're getting raided by the military and the 2 FBI agents with Mike and Argyle come to save them.
Yeah.
The way that they start that scene, fucking dark, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I you know, the only thing I can compare it to, which I'm really trying to find a better way to phrase it, is like a live shooter situation where you're actually confused.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to get away from the FBI agents, and when the shooting starts, you're actually like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
And then
that was
and then
so
you witness,
dark.
Then you witness the deaths of the 2
Mhm.
guys trying to protect you. You see that like firsthand right in front of you. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
I agree. I was actually very impressed by the way that was executed. I agree with you 100%. It was very surreal.
It goes back to the, you know, Duffer Brothers being so ambitious with this season. Like
They have been.
The most ambitious.
Yeah.
This is the most ambitious season so far in the entire.
This is probably the
Stranger
most
Things.
ambitious season of television of all time. I mean, honestly,
Probably,
when you really look at everything this season tried to do, I'm not saying it all paid off, but for the most part, it did.
This was probably also like the darkest. Honestly,
Yeah.
This thing was so dark, like the entire show, man. It was
Yeah.
just like, it just gave me dark vibes basically the entire show.
How great was 11 pulling the helicopter? I mean, that was awesome.
Oh, dude, that was sick. And then lifting up the Nina,
Mhm.
bro. It gave me like the Force vibes when Luke.
It
pulled
did.
his
It's
X-wing
absolutely
for the
that.
first time, dude. It was amazing.
It's absolutely drawn from that. You know, they
Yeah.
love to draw from their 80s references, you know, so Empire Strikes Back is no exception. They've done that a couple times, I think, in this show throughout, but they did a great job with that stuff and built to it very, very well. And
when Papa died, I mean, I was kind of sad for him. At the same time, I wasn't, because yeah, you're a dickhead. But
yeah,
at the same time, it was pretty sad to see Papa die and Els. What do you mean? Oh, was he dead? Ooh.
What? No, was he a bad guy?
It's true. It's up for debate.
True.
It's up for
Yeah, it's
debate.
up
I
for
think.
debate, yeah. I mean, he did technically help her get her powers back, so I mean, you can see that.
Oh man, the way 11 left them, I didn't expect though. It was very cold, and I think that I thought that was a great scene because it does touch into a lot of gray area in the show. There's a lot of gray area the show definitely is played with, and man, where the show ended and where it started is such a contrast. Not the show, I'm sorry, but the show too, but the season in particular. Because again, in the beginning, I wasn't digging it. It took me time to definitely really latch on to everything that was happening, which is a lot. And again, I credit them for taking the leap with it and actually doing that much with the show. I think they did a very, very good job of trying a lot of different things. A lot of different things.
I'm not gonna lie, the scene where they were helping 11 with the tank in the pizza place, and it was just Will and Jonathan. I thought Will was gonna come out and say he was gay, but
I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, are we all in agreement on that? I think he definitely is.
I just thought that in that scene he was gonna come out to Jonathan.
I thought so too. I
ended up not.
I think he has a crush on Mike. I really do. I think that's been the.
Yeah, I think because you noticed like he's very jealous of Mike being with Elle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
not jealousy either, I don't think. I think he is happy for Mike. I think he genuinely just wishes it could be different, I think I don't think it's so much I don't really feel like envy. I just feel sadness. You know what I mean? I don't really look at it as jealousy, but if that's the case, if that's where they're going. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm surprised he actually didn't come out and say he was gay to Jonathan, but I think they're building to that for season 5.
I was about to say, you already know that Twitter's gonna be on that, being like, oh my god, the more gay stuff. Oh my god, blah blah blah. Like,
yeah,
Twitter's been going on for all that stuff recently, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say something that I don't know if this is gonna make sense to you guys, but maybe it will. To me, the way that the show ended, like the last scene, is, to me, it had the same effect of the opening scene of Deathly Hallows Part 1, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, where just like it's setting up everything, like it's setting up the major finale, and it actually gave me goosebumps, like the same way that it did when I watched Deathly Hallows Part 1, Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1.
The ending of season, like that ending shot just made me even more excited for the 5th season. Honestly,
yeah,
I can't wait.
100%. They did a good job.
It's gonna be the last season too. They've announced, so
gave me like Final Stand type chills.
That's what I mean.
Scary to think about. Is like all of them are back together again, reunited, and then
except for Max,
so happy and hopeful, and then they look ahead, and that's what they have to look forward.
It is. Yeah.
But what was
it makes you wonder in that scene who's gonna die.
I was gonna say,
that's
the first. That's the first thought that came across my head. Who's not gonna make it?
They did say like a big character's dying in the finale season. So it makes you wonder which one.
And it could be multiple. We just don't know. They could say one is, but that doesn't mean that more than one isn't. So we'll see what happens.
Will's been playing a way bigger role in this final season for sure. Because he's on all the posters for season 5, which is coming out. Well, I mean, there's posters that say like 2024 for season 5, and it's got like Will and Vecna on it.
Oh. So, well, I think what we're gonna see, I think Will's definitely I think they're gonna use Will to track Vecna. I think Will's got this connection to him and has since the beginning.
They're gonna like do this final season's gonna kind of go more in depth about the Upside Down, and like they're probably gonna go into detail about like what exactly happened to Will while he was in the Upside Down, that no one was looking for him really. And it's going to explain a lot more about his connection to the Mind Flayer and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. I really hope that they do. And as we've seen, they definitely have the time and utilize it well enough to do that.
Yeah.
So there's that. So
I feel like that's how the season's going to start off, and then we'll get into the other stuff later on.
100%, absolutely. I
feel
really
like Max is going to be when she wakes up, she's going to be a big pivotal role against Vecna, and what probably will be the death of Vecna.
Agreed. I think,
and Eddie's going to come back.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just say that now.
Well, yeah, I think Max is going to be a host, though. That's kind of how I look at it. She's going to be a host of Vecna, and he's going to use her to he's going to basically take possession of her, I think, and we're going to see a lot of that. That's my theory. But hey, man, I have never seen, maybe since the MCU, we haven't had since the Infinity Saga of the MCU. It's been a long time since something's taken big swings like this, and everybody's been so together on it. The entire fan base, I think, is all of one mind on this, and we're really all in agreement on a lot of this stuff. And it's actually really amazing and powerful to see that this thing paid off and delivered the way
And
it
as I
did.
said, it shows how good the Duffer Brothers are at delivering.
They are. They know what they're doing,
Yeah.
man. They know what they're doing.
They've been with this since the beginning, so they know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's pretty cool, man. I'm really happy with this season for sure. Is there anything else that anybody wants to add before we take off here, or not take off, but grade this show? Or...
Well, I was gonna say one scene that I also liked too was the scene with when they went to go play Dungeons and Dragons, and they brought in Lucas's sister.
Mm-hmm.
In that scene where she was just like roasting Eddie the entire time.
I've always liked her. Yeah, I was happy she was used a lot more.
And then also in the scene where she kicked that basketball player in the nuts and just like ran away, that shit was funny too.
I've always liked Erica a lot. I think she's
funny.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that. I was glad she was used a lot more. She's now kind of a part of the group now, So I'm really happy that they finally made that happen and official. So that was awesome. I agree, man. All right, so let's get this thing a grade. I'm gonna give this a must watch. I think this is the best season of television. No, hold on. I'll take that back. This is my second favorite season of television of the year. And I think, again, it just really paid off well, and I loved it. And
wait, what's your first then?
Season 2, Euphoria. I think Euphoria season 2 was the best season of television I've seen all year. But
that was really good.
This is second to that, for sure. So I loved it. I know, whatever. Anyway, Jose, what do you give this? I give this a must watch. Go ahead.
I 100% agree. Must watch. I totally forgot about season 2 Euphoria. I'd probably have to say too, this season was probably the second best season of television that I've seen. I mean, it was just amazing. I loved it from maybe not from start to finish, but overall as the show is really good. So yeah, I would say a must watch.
Hell yeah. Dave, what do you give this?
I give this an absolutely must go. I believe I agreed with Dom earlier. The piggyback, I believe, is actually the best episode of television ever.
Mm-hmm.
I still think season 3 is Stranger Things. I prefer over season 4.
What?
Overall,
I disagree.
Overall,
Same.
I know you're gonna disagree. Go rewatch season 3, Jose. Get a life. But overall, season 3, I think, did better. Overall, more well-rounded, better season. But the piggyback alone is definitely the best episode of television I've ever seen in my life. I give this a must go.
All right, guys. All right, Dave. I don't know because you haven't seen it. If you want to dip for Miss Marvel,
I was gonna say I'm actually gonna go ahead and dip. My setup will be on and everything. I'm just gonna
off the
mic and everything, and I'm gonna go watch Miss Marvel and She-Hulk right now. I suggest that you guys stick through to hear what they're gonna say about it, or if you haven't seen it yet, pause this, go watch it now, like me, and then come back to see what they got to say about it.
All right, guys. Dave, before you go, where can people find you before you take off here? Because we're gonna round it out, I think, when we're done. So
I live in Florida, dipshit.
All right. That reminded me so much of The Office, where he said, do Oscar the Grouch. Remember Kevin said that to Andy, and then Andy goes, "Oh, I'm not familiar with them. What province is he from?" And then
he
Kevin,
lives on Sesame Street,
dumbass. Yeah, that was so what that moment was.
Such a good line.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go watch that snippet of The Office and then go watch She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. And you guys have yourselves a great night.
All right, and you can find Dave at King Dave. We do have his social media information down there. So, all right, yeah, there you go. All right, great. All right, so let's
No, fuck off. I'm just kidding.
Let's get to Miss Marvel. All right, so when the show started out, when it first started, I thought that this was, of all the pilots, the best one, the best pilot episode.
It was the most streamed pilot of any of the Marvel at the time, of course.
Yeah,
I read, and it was really good. It was I really liked the pilot. I thought it was a really good opener to this new character that we've never seen on television before. We've obviously seen bits in the Marvel game, the Marvel Avengers game, because that's the character she plays. So I thought it was a good opener to her character and to get an introduction onto her, like, her family, where she comes from, and everything else. Honestly,
110%. And to me, watching that pilot episode, I think it's perfection in introducing the character and introducing this kind of. They really did a really good slow build for this character throughout the show, and the pilot is the introduction to all of that. And I think it shows you fall in love with Iman Vellani in this role like right away.
Who we've never seen on TV before.
Right.
This is her first role in front of a camera ever, and so
and she's great.
Oh yeah,
you fall in love with her immediately.
She plays Miss Marvel to a T. It's great. I love her from start to finish.
Yeah,
the character is very well built and very well put onto television. Television.
Yeah, watching that pilot episode too, for me anyway, was like, I was looking at it as like a. How do I like it? It was like Edgar Wright directing a Marvel thing. Finally, it's not Edgar Wright, but it felt like Edgar Wright. Like the style was a very Edgar Wright feel to it, and I really enjoyed that. And I think visually, I think I told you this before. The budget for the show probably isn't any bigger than the other budgets for some of the other shows, but because of the direction, it looks more expensive. And I think that because they made it's directed so well, they just made it look more expensive. I'm not talking about CGI wise or because they use more. I'm talking about just the cinematography, the way that the shots are utilized. And it's edited and cut. It just feels more expensive because of that. That's what makes it have that more expensive look and feel. And Miss Marvel, I was familiar with her from the game, and I thought I loved her in the game. I'm of the few, and maybe it's because now I've heard this about the game. It's better on the PS5, and my first experience with it is on the PS5. The PS5 version is supposedly a lot better. I can kind of see why, because I've seen footage of the PS4 one or the last gen version. The PS5 version I get here is the best version of the game. That's the one I played, and it's great. And the game did a really good job, almost as well as the show, honestly, to make me fall in love with the character. So I was very excited to see how they did it. And there was a lot of parallels with her from the game and this, but just a completely different take and completely different visual style and all these different things. And I really like that about this, that like Avengers Con was in the game, but it was also in the show, in the show. Exactly. Yeah. But a different look, different feel, different take. So I like that I got to experience the character again after playing the game, but just in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah.
I also think that this took a lot from John Watts' Spider-Man trilogy in terms of tone. I think that they really kind of played into that a little bit more. Like this feels the most like it exists in the Spider-Man universe.
And her religion really did have an impact on this show. It kind of made it more human in a way, really.
I loved that because you can strip away the superhero aspect of this whole thing and still have a great show.
It made it more human because you have it's like Spider-Man's movies in a way. Like he is a superhero, but at the same time you can strip away and have a more human side, and it's still really good.
Yeah,
that's what I love so much about this show.
100%. Like the superhero aspect of it's a great cherry on top.
And she's in high school just like Spider-Man, so it's like they're both like one and the same almost. And I've heard that they were thinking about doing like future projects with Miss Marvel and Spider-Man together.
Yeah, and I learned so much about the culture, the Muslim culture, the Pakistani culture. Like I learned so much about that in this, and I think that was great. It definitely got that culture out to a wider audience, and I think the first 3 episodes it is some of the most solid MCU television ever.
For sure.
Episode 4, I definitely started to struggle. I did not like them going away, and I thought it was going to be a really cool storyline.
You mean like going back to Pakistan?
I think it stumbled a bit there. It's not being in Pakistan. It's the fact that we started to see Kamala separated from her family a lot. And I think she's strongest when she's kind of in the family system a lot more, and with Bruno and with her friends. And I think that's where
talk about Bruno.
I think that's where the show is strongest, is when she's with the core characters.
They were almost like eternal references in one of those episodes, which
there
I thought was pretty cool.
And I didn't mind those connections. I thought those were fine, and I'm appreciative of them being in the show. I think that it just stumbled for me being outside of what the show had kind of been defined to be.
I can see that. Yeah, that's why. Like one of my favorite scenes was the scene where they were in high school and they were trying to avoid those FBI agents.
Yeah.
And they set all those traps and all that other stuff. I thought that scene was
me
was
too.
because she's with her friends and family and all that, and they're all scheming together. I thought that was really nice.
I agree. I think that
I also liked the whole sketching aspect that they used in the show. I thought that was really cool and very very high school, and it fit in very well.
Yeah, that's like the Edgar Wright of it all to me. Like that stuff, like
Yeah.
that stuff like felt very Edgar Wright to me.
Every time she was planning something with her friends and family, she always had the etching, like the sketching type on in the notebook, and I thought it fit very well with the show.
100%. Yeah. So I just the Pakistan stuff, not being in Pakistan, I'm kind of glad we went there. But then like once we were there, what they kind of did with that, it just felt like a complete waste of time almost. And then
I really liked the flashbacks to her family and explaining the history of everything.
I did too. I thought that in episode 5 when they did that played as a very self-contained very good self-contained kind of movie. It did it a lot better than a lot of other shows have done that type of thing, and I thought it worked really well. I don't disagree with that. I do again. I still kind of felt like in episode 5, episode 5 is better than episode 4 for me because it's something different. But I was still kind of missing the Bruno of it all and her friends and her family. But I gotta say, for what they were doing, it's good. You know what I mean? It's a really well made, executed.
It set up the finale episode very well, in my opinion.
Put it this way: if that was a separate movie and a separate short, I would have liked it more. But because it was in the show, I liked it less. But as a self-contained thing, I thought it was very well done. Very well done.
I feel like it kind of set up stuff for episode 6 kind of nicely too. Honestly,
it did. And by the time you get to the finale and it pays off, it's great. Which let's talk about that because
the finale was amazing.
Finale's great.
Dude,
yeah, it's great.
Amazing. I love that finale. It's one of the best finales in the Marvel TV shows that I've seen.
It is. Honestly. It really is. 100% stuck the landing, and I thought the stuff between her and why can't I think of
her cousin?
Yeah, but what's his name?
Oh God, I'm really blanking right now.
I want to say it's Antoine, but that's not it. It's.
I can look it up real quick.
Thank you.
That's not even how you spell that.
It actually, but that stuff paid off very well. Like it actually hit, and it was emotionally it paid off. I thought a lot of that. Where
Kamran,
yes, thank you. I thought the stuff with her and Kamran paid off. It
was
really good emotionally.
Yeah,
it paid off very well
because he had the powers. He basically had the powers of Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
and I like how they went with like the bluish kind of yellowish green with him, and she had that purplish blue. I liked that opposite color thing. I thought it was really cool.
And until the Kamran stuff came in, the gripe I had with the finale, and this is more of a problem with the show overall. It's not just the finale's fault. I think the finale did the best with what it had. But the problem with the show overall is that there's not a really good clear-cut villain in it. I did like the stuff with Kamran, don't get me wrong, and the way that played.
And was he really technically a villain?
But he wasn't really technically a villain.
He kind of was.
He was the closest thing.
Yeah, it was the closest we had to. I mean, I guess technically his mom was really more like the clear villain in this show.
Yeah, and then she just goes away. I think that's kind of where the show kind of falters a little bit.
We kind of had multiple different villains in quotations, and it didn't really
I think it definitely still needed a presence of a clear-cut villain. Keep the Kamran stuff. Don't get me wrong. Keep that.
We just needed a clear-cut villain from start to finish, really.
And one that's honestly better than the mom, because she does that thing where she she transfers the power right before she dies.
To Kamran, yeah.
How did she know that was going to work? That was one of my biggest issues.
Maybe she sees the future. I don't know.
That was weird to me because she clearly didn't know how anything else worked, but she knew how that was going to work. So that to me was a little.
Or maybe she had a vision about that before she went in. As she was going into the thing, maybe she had a vision, seeing that she was going to transfer the powers to her son.
Maybe.
And so then she was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just go in, and then her son got the powers.
Maybe if she's the main villain to me, she's clunky. I don't think she was the best.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I think we do need a more clear cut villain.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're gonna get that in the Marvels movie.
Yeah, she honestly, to me, she played a better good guy than a bad guy, because at first when she was trying to play as a good guy to Kamala, she played better.
Trying to get help from her, yeah.
That, and then when she kind of went all villainous, I thought she wasn't as good as that.
Although,
if that makes sense.
The fighting scenes between her and Kamala and stuff like that, I thought those were pretty good.
Yeah, all the action in the show is actually shot incredibly well.
And I'm blanking on his name, but the kid from the red scarf who had those like throwing knives, he was really good too.
Yeah. I love the action in the show. And the action's not a complaint.
And the main head guy from those red scarf gang, he was also really good too.
Yeah, they had
the little bit we got from him, he was good too.
I agree. I thought that the red scarf game was really good for the most part. I still would have rather had just like one clear-cut villain to anchor it a little bit better, but the Kamran stuff and his,
at the same time, like the FBI was also kind of like the villains as well in a way.
Yeah, which by the way, that ties back into Spider-Man with the DODC and
exactly.
It's the same guy. I love that they were in here.
from No Way Home.
I never would have thought we'd see him again, and the fact that he showed back up and they actually played a bigger part was like, whoa. And again, it ties back into how much this plays into Spider-Man to me. Like
exactly.
And
aren't they both
like they fit together?
Oh no, I thought they were both in New York, but they're probably not.
No, they are. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, they have to be, right? Because the ODC. Yeah, they
exactly. So they're both set in the same place between Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man, and both set in the same place.
Hawkeye's set in the same place too, because we see them pass up the Rogers the Musical poster and Spider-Man.
Well, and they also go to Rockefeller Center.
Yeah, so they're definitely doing a lot of things in New York, but. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I thought the finale, with everything that was set up in the show, it was the best result possible, honestly.
I mean, we can also talk about the end credit scene, which I thoroughly enjoyed, honestly.
Well, before we even talk about that, let's talk about the big drop, because Bruno's talking to Kamala, and he reanalyzed her blood, and there was a gene in there, and then we find out she's a mutant. She's an X-Men.
Oh,
right?
yeah, X-Men, yeah.
Yeah, it's a mutation. At first I was like, they're not doing X-Men here, and then you hear the theme from the 90s.
The X-Men,
the 90s animated, and you're like, whoa! And that's cool because originally,
which means that she's probably gonna be in that X-Men throwback thing, the animation thing.
They might, even though that's not going to be like MCU canon. They might do that. That's going to be more of a sequel to the original 90s thing, but they might now, because the cool thing about that was that. The comic book writers initially wanted to make Kamala an X-Men, one of the X-Men, and never found a really good way to do it in the comics. And Feige did it. He found a really cool way to do it. So I think that's actually awesome that we're getting this new take, and he made her a mutant, and we got our first. At least since 616, we got our introduction to X-Men, right? Because
X-Men, right,
in Multiverse of Madness, we kind of had it with Xavier, but it wasn't 616. So now in Earth 616, X-Men are officially a thing, and I think that's very exciting. I think at D23, we're going to go kind of X-Men crazy. That's my opinion. I think there's going to be some big announcements in terms of
I feel like in those
616.
In those Avengers movies, we're definitely going to be getting the X-Men. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry. By the way, let me rephrase what I said. X-Men 97 is going to be MCU canon. It's not going to be 616 canon, because now, right, like anything could be MCU canon. I mean, when you really think about it, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies are now technically MCU canon, and not Earth 616 canon. Yeah,
and the Andrew Garfield ones too, right?
Technically, yeah, because
that's what I mean. Like,
right, so
literally anything Marvel at this point is MCU.
It is all MCU canon. They found a way to utilize it all now,
right? Yeah,
they make it all MCU canon.
I mean, Daredevil, all those Netflix, but Marvel shows are now MCU canon.
But 97 is my point. Was it's not going to take place in Earth 616, but it's
going to be canon. Okay.
Theoretically, yeah.
Well, we could be seeing a different version of Miss Marvel, and
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. But they should now, because now,
exactly. Now that she's been announced as a mutant,
Feige figured out a way to put her as a mutant for sure. Use her in more X-Men stuff, because now you can, right? And so I think,
which means that we'll probably be seeing, not probably, but we will be seeing collabs with Deadpool and Miss Marvel, because Deadpool's now part of X-Men.
No, I mean personally. The collab you got to do, you'll agree with me when you watch the episode, is Deadpool and She-Hulk, but you gotta.
You could see a collab with the three of them, honestly. She-Hulk, Deadpool, and Miss Marvel. I mean, at this point, anything's possible with Marvel.
Well, what did we have? We had Giancarlo come out, say he was talking about playing Professor X, right?
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah, he was talking. Wow. He was talking to Kevin Feige about playing Professor X, so that's a possibility.
That'd be an interesting take.
It'd be incredible, and like one of the big things that people want to see. Which, remember, they wanted to see John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Yes, Reed Richards.
Feige made that happen. Now the new one has been
the new one's coming. Yeah,
Giancarlo and Denzel as X and Magneto makes so much sense to me. And Giancarlo said
Denzel's gonna be Magneto.
We don't know. It's a fan casting, but
you know what other fan casting theory that I've read is that Emily Blunt, John Krasinski's wife's gonna play and the Invisible Girl, and that
Sue Storm, right?
Yeah, Sue Storm, and that I think it said that Tom Cruise was gonna be Human Torch.
Yeah, I heard that leak, but I don't know how true that is. But we'll see. I don't know. Could be.
I think Emily Blunt Sue Storm could really work. Honestly,
could be.
She's blonde, and John Krasinski could make that happen.
Yeah,
honestly.
The only reason I've been so hesitant about Krasinski and Blunt being in the movie is because of Emily Blunt's comments on Howard Stern when she said she never thought she'd do a comic book movie. You know what I mean? Because it's not really her thing. But she did say if the right script came along, maybe, the right take. But she seemed very against it. But we'll see, man. I mean, you know how they play in these press things.
True.
These actors, they lie a lot. So we'll see what happens. I
wouldn't mind seeing Chris Evans come back and play Human Torch.
Yeah, I mean, how much sense would it make? But, maybe, again, I think the moment to do something like that was in Multiverse of Madness or in the multiverse in general, which we're still in the multiverse saga, so don't take it off the table yet. But anyway, the post-credit scene of Miss Marvel.
Oh, my goodness gracious. This
cool.
thing was incredible. Bro, you just have Kamala in a room, and she just touches something, flies back into her closet, comes out as Captain Marvel, Brie Larson.
Now, the question I have is this going to play into the Marvels or is this going to play into Captain Marvel 2? Which movie will this play into now?
Wait, what was the other movie you said?
Captain Marvel 2.
I think it's going to play into both. I think Miss Marvel's going to be in both, but I think this one because the Marvels is coming out first, right?
I don't remember.
I can't remember when Captain Marvel 2
I guess you'd have to base it off of which one's coming first. Then
that's what I mean. I think the Marvels.
I think it is the Marvels too. I think they've talked about the Marvels more than Captain Marvel 2 for sure.
Wait, unless they're, because I just looked up Captain Marvel 2 and it just pulls up the Marvels. So I don't know if that's what they've changed the name of Captain Marvel 2.
Well,
the Marvels.
I could maybe. Well, like I could tell you right now. Well, this is how we put that to the test. Who's directing the Marvels?
What are you trying to? What is the same person that directed Captain Marvel 1 directing this one?
No. I know who's directing Captain Marvel 2.
Okay. Who's directing Captain Marvel 2?
Nia something.
Yeah, Nia DaCosta. She's
so that is Captain Marvel 2.
So Captain Marvel 2 is now called it's called the Marvels.
See, I didn't realize that.
I think I know why they're calling it the Marvels, because obviously now you're gonna have Miss Marvel in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have Captain Marvel, and then I also read that Monica Rambeau is gonna be in there as the other.
She is. She's gonna come in as a proton or photon. Yeah.
So, Captain Marvel 2 is now the Marvels. So, This was in promo for the Marvels.
I see.
Which I'm super excited for. I can't wait for the
reason. The reason that confused me is because Nia, what's her last name? Nia DaCosta. It's DaCosta, I think. Yeah. Nia DaCosta got announced for Captain Marvel 2. That was the big article that came out a long time ago.
I guess it was called then at the time, but then they changed it.
So now this is officially Captain Marvel 2. Wow.
Marvel 2 is it's called the Marvels.
Fair enough.
Now.
Fair enough.
Oh, she's the one that did Candyman.
Yeah, she did Candyman, which got really high ratings. I still haven't watched it, but I mean, she
makes me even more excited for.
Apparently, that's what got her the job. Was Feige saw?
What was Candyman 2?
Well, she was hired for the job before Candyman came out, but Feige saw a cut of it and wanted to hire her for the Marvels. Well, what's now the Marvels? It was Captain Marvel 2 is the working title, but all right, cool. That's good to know. I didn't realize that was actually what's going to act now as Captain Marvel 2. That makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. Like Captain Marvel looks around, she's like, where am I? It just ends.
No, it's great.
Dude, that's great. I love it.
It's not a Freaky Friday body swap because she's not going into the body of Miss Marvel, but it's a body swap in the sense that, so now Miss Marvel's probably somewhere out in space.
And as Captain Marvel, yeah. She's probably up in that spaceship with Nick Fury, wherever the hell they are.
Well, it makes you wonder where was, I don't remember. I'd have to rewatch the post-credit scene, but where was Captain Marvel going in Shang-Chi? That's probably where Miss Marvel's
that's
at.
probably what's
Right.
gonna pick up with the Marvels.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, she's most likely with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Probably off saving some other planet or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a Freaky Friday mind switch
For sure.
up in this. Well, not even really a mind switch. It's like they
They
teleport. They
They
teleport.
teleported to.
So now Captain Marvel is where Miss Marvel was, and Miss Marvel is now where Captain Marvel was.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So let's give this thing a grade. But yeah, man, real quick. I mean, I do agree with you that this post-credit scene was so intriguing and it made me excited for the Marvels so much. I think it's a cool concept that they got going on. All right. Let's give this thing a grade. I'm going to give this one a must watch. Honestly, I think that's where I'm at with it. I think for the most part, it executed everything it wanted to. Yeah. Must watch for sure. What do you got, Jose?
No, I definitely also give it a must watch because honestly, I'm gonna say this now. It's probably I'll have to rewatch it again, but it's honestly probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite MCU shows. Honestly,
I'm between this and Moon Knight. I don't know which one. I like this and Moon Knight the best.
That Disney has done, because Daredevil is probably still my favorite MCU show, even though Disney didn't do it. It's like Daredevil is probably my favorite.
I don't call it an MCU show though. I know, I know we said everything's MCU canon. It's not a Disney Plus MCU show though. It's not like.
But it's still an MCU show though, because it's still part of Marvel.
It's not Feige's. I don't count it as
True,
an MCU show. I get what we're saying. Like, yes, you can technically call everything canon now, but I don't know that we can call it all MCU. I don't know. It's all kind of confusing, but I get what you're saying. Like, if we had to pick like of the of the Disney Plus shows, what is this one your favorite then? I guess.
Yeah, this one and Moon Knight are like right there, honestly.
Yeah, I'm tied
like
between
them two are like right up there. Like those are the best MCU shows. That have come out, honestly. Like this one, you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, you have to go watch it. It's just so good.
You know, I also go back to WandaVision though, man. I still think those first 7 episodes are strong. I think that the first 7 episodes, sorry,
I didn't
first
like
8 episodes of WandaVision are strong.
I didn't like the black and white stuff.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
After that, yeah, the rest of the shows, you know, Agatha Harkness.
How do you not like the black and white? I'm not dissing your opinion. I'm asking, like, how do you not though?
I don't know.
What's up with that? Like, because it's done so well.
To me, it's just dry humor. To me, honestly, I just didn't like it.
But it's supposed to be. You understand that?
But that's I don't. Yeah, but I don't like that stuff. I understand it has to be. Yeah. I understand it has to be, because that's the point of black and white and doing it, like, you know, those kinds of shows. But I don't know. It just didn't hit for me.
Yeah, interesting.
But then after that, the show was phenomenal.
I think
I loved it.
I mean, I still think.
I mean, compared to Captain America and, you know, Falcon Winter Soldier, like, WandaVision is better, 100%. There's no doubt about it to me.
I don't know, because I really liked Falcon Winter Soldier. I don't know. I gotta rewatch it.
I think that was a waste of a show, if I'm being honest.
I disagree. Waste of a show. That had the biggest arc, I think, of all of them. I think of all the shows, that's the biggest implication of all of them. It transferred Sam to be Captain America.
I feel like you could have gone a different way with it, but, you know, that's just me.
I don't know. I loved it. I
preferred Loki to Falcon Winter Soldier, honestly.
Yeah, see, most people do. I'm lower on Loki. I don't hate Loki. I think,
and it's just got me more excited for Loki season 2, which we know is coming. So
I'm more excited for Loki season 2, and I love Kang, by the way. Like, I loved all that, and I think that I think, yeah, I'm definitely more excited for Loki season 2. It's my most anticipated, because of what season 1 set up. Even though like season 1 itself like is still lower on my personal list, I'm still like, don't get me wrong, like Loki season 2 is still like one of my most anticipated MCU things.
It's gonna be insane. I can already tell this show's gonna be, that season's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to see Tom Hiddleston back again as Loki. Yeah. I've missed him. I've missed him as Loki, honestly, and he just fits that role so well.
I don't hate any of the MCU Disney Plus shows so far. I think they've all been good. I really.
I guess hate's a strong. I don't hate fucking Winter Soldier. I just dislike it. I don't know. It's just not my show. You know.
I don't know.
Of all the shows, that's definitely the one lowest on my list.
But you probably see that opinion lines up with a lot of other people. Like, I'm in the minority. I can accept that. You know, like for sure, because
it goes for me. It goes like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, then probably Loki. Oh no! Ooh, I have to think about Hawkeye. That was good too.
That was so fun, man.
I know. I'd go Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, then Hawkeye, then Loki, then WandaVision, then Falcon Winter Soldier for me.
Yeah, it's a really tough call right now. I mean, WandaVision is See, to me, the second to last episode of WandaVision is the best episode of MCU television that we've had. Just in general, not talking about your Netflix things. I'm talking about Disney Plus MCU. The second to last episode of WandaVision is the best episode of Disney Plus MCU that we've had so far. So that to me is still has, I hold that very near and dear to my heart. And then the finale, for the most part, disappointed me. Of WandaVision.
It just left us with so many fucking questions.
Yeah,
like, way too many. Like the Creels and
it felt incomplete. Like, I think there's still questions left over. I
was saying, I feel like a lot of those answers or questions are gonna be answered in these future MCU shows and
for sure
and movies that are, like with the Creels, for example. I mean, I feel like the Marvels is gonna answer that question.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think.
And the Agatha show that's coming too. I mean, was it House of Chaos? Is that what the name of it is?
Yeah, House of Chaos. Now they changed it or something like that.
It was House of Darkness.
Coven of Chaos.
Covenant, because it was called House of Darkness at first.
House of Harkness.
House of Harkness.
Yeah.
And now it's Coven of Chaos. I think I like Coven of Chaos more.
Yeah, me too. I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to rank these, I guess, the best I can. I mean, I would probably still. Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of.
Moon Knight and Miss Marvel,
I think Miss Marvel,
tied.
Moon Knight, we're definitely agreed on, like almost tied.
Tied for yeah.
Miss Marvel, I think a little bit more. I think that's my one, and then Moon Knight, or Moon Knight. I don't know, man, because Moon Knight I like more overall.
Honestly, I don't know. The ending, it's just like the ending of Moon Knight. Just it makes me want another season or just more of Moon Knight.
But I had issues with Moon Knight too.
The same thing. There's also the question with the finale of Miss Marvel's, like now I have questions about the Marvels. It's like
to take the hippopotamus out of Moon Knight, and I'll probably like Moon Knight more. I would probably put that as my one. And then number two would be Miss Marvel, and then I would probably go WandaVision, then Hawkeye, then Falcon Winter Soldier, then Loki. That'd be where I would go. But at this point, yeah,
completely different lists from us, but I mean, we can agree with the first two. That's for sure.
Yeah, or you could flip flop Hawkeye and WandaVision. I'd probably put Hawkeye overall more than WandaVision. I don't know, man. I had more fun with Hawkeye than a lot of other people. I got to rewatch them and
no,
really
I absolutely Hawkeye was my number 3, so I absolutely enjoyed Hawkeye. I thought it's set up for Ant-Man. 3.
Set up a lot of things. That one, Hawkeye, set up for. Oh, Hawkeye set up for Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, because Kate Bishop's is most likely gonna be the Hawkeye.
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see. Yet to be seen, but I bet she is. That's true. There's that. So. Yeah, I did really like Hawkeye a lot. I
just the comedy throughout the entire show. I just loved.
It's
so
great.
Much.
It's great. It's actually
it also set up for the Echo show coming out.
Yeah, it set up a lot. Daredevil, obviously, that was a big thing.
The new Daredevil show that's coming. Yeah, so it just set up a lot.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so let me rethink this really quick. Okay, so I'm gonna go.
I still can't choose a 1 and 2 for Moon Knight and Miss Marvel. It's just too hard.
Minus the ridiculous hippopotamus again. I'll go Moon Knight 1. I'll go Miss Marvel 2. I'll go Hawkeye 3. I'll go WandaVision 4.
Okay.
Falcon Winter Soldier. No. I'll go Falcon Winter Soldier 4. WandaVision 5. Loki 6. Like that's yeah. So
our top 3 are the same. Our bottom 3 are different.
Way different, yeah. Because
you put Loki at the bottom and I put Loki 4th, and then you put WandaVision 5th. I think I put it 5th too. Actually, I think it's just our 4th and 6th are swapped because I put Loki 4th and Falcon last, and you put Falcon 4th and Loki last. So those are the only 2 that are different.
Yeah.
And I'm still unclear with 1 and 2. Honestly, I'd probably put Moon Knight 1 just because of Oscar Isaac's performance, the fact that he was able to play, three different characters as one person.
Moon Knight had really good lore, man. It took me right back to Indiana Jones.
The whole Egyptian gods and goddesses thing. Yeah,
that stuff was awesome. And
Ethan Hawke as a villain was just phenomenal. Yeah, honestly.
And I did like the setup of Jake Lockley. I like that Moon Knight is, and again, it does go. This is why the hippopotamus bothers me so much, because Moon Knight is such a street level character, and I love that they took it back to that.
Well, the hippopotamus is the goddess of nurturing.
Oh, it's ridiculous though. Come on, it was ridiculous.
I liked it.
It stunk. but the rest of the show is great.
Hippopotamus.
I like the hippopotamus song. I'll respect that all day. I thought that was great, but
that's still my ringtone.
Really, that's awesome. I think it's great. I love the hippopotamus song.
I'm so glad you showed me that, bro, because it's so funny.
It's so good. But I love Oscar Isaac. He's a talented guy. But and Ethan Hawke and man.
That was honestly the introduction for me of Ethan Hawke's acting. I had never seen anything else by him. Yeah, and honestly, seeing that performance made me super excited.
You gotta go Before trilogy now. You gotta watch the Before trilogy. You gotta watch Training Day and Dead Poets Society.
Yeah, and then when I saw him, and I saw him in with his performance here in Moon Knight, it got me excited for Black Phone. I saw Black Phone, and dude, his performance in Black Phone is ridiculous.
Sinister, he's great in Sinister. I mean, he's done so many great roles over the years. I've always loved Ethan Hawke. The Purge, he was in The Purge.
I haven't seen that one just because. No.
It's a good movie. I'm in the minority, but I like The Purge.
I just I don't how I am with scary movies, so
that movie's not scary.
Well, bro, that could happen any day.
Yeah, but the movie itself, the movie's not scary. It's not a scary movie,
bro. Fuck The Purge.
Those are action movies. Don't let the Blumhouse of it all fool you.
Fuck murder. I'm just kidding.
They're action movies, without doubt. In my opinion, that's I
said the same thing about Black Phone. I watched it. It wasn't even that scary. It's just more suspense.
Yeah, but that to me that freaked me out more because it is more suspenseful. But to me, that freaked me out more than like Purge because
I guess like Black Phone is technically more of a scary movie than Purge, but I just didn't really see it that much. There were like a couple times where I did get jump scared, but overall I didn't really see it that much as horror.
Because at least like Black Phone has like paranormal and spirits and shit. You know what I mean? Like so that's it's freaky in that way, I guess.
That's fair. But it was really just more suspense and like that entire.
I'm not disagreeing.
More suspense. Yeah.
You could make. I mean, their suspense could be horror. Like look at Quiet Place, right? Like they're horror films, but they're extremely suspenseful. Like,
and Last Night in Soho.
You could mix that. I just think in the case of Purge in particular, and I think you'll agree if you watch it, it's a straight action movie. Like there's no doubt about it. Like
with so much murder, I'm not surprised.
Especially Anarchy. By the time you get to Purge Anarchy, which to me is the best Purge still this day.
Is that the second movie?
Yeah, that is awesome. That one's awesome. I actually was wanting to watch that today a little bit. Like
I just feel like there's too many jump scares. There'd be like a lot of jump scares in
there's not
in the Purge.
There's not. No, they don't.
Not?
I can't think of one off the top of my head that they add. No, there's no jump scares in the Purge. No. The first one,
those masks just look freaky as fuck.
They're not. You barely see them. Like when you watch them.
I didn't know there's 5 movies for the Purge. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't recommend all of them, but like
the first Purge election year. How was that one?
It's my least favorite, I think, so far.
And there's also the first Purge.
The first Purge isn't bad. It's not bad. It's got good action.
And then the Forever Purge.
Yeah. You'll get to it. You'll be like, they're action movies. They're fun.
A lot of them are on HBO Max.
Yeah. Dude, I promise you, the Purge will not scare you. I can actually give you the guarantee they will not scare you. Purge and Purge Anarchy you should watch. They're great. Both movies are great. Purge Anarchy especially is awesome. Purge is good, and then Purge Anarchy is awesome. Like they're good movies. They're fun. But watch Purge for Ethan Hawke. I mean, alone the first one is Ethan Hawke.
Does he play one of the murders?
No, he's the dad. He's a very loving parent. He's very good in the movie.
It's a completely different world to what he's playing.
He always does. That's why I like him so much. He always does something different. Like honestly, like
I mean, yeah, from Moon Knight, Arthur Harrow to Black Phone to being an innocent dad in the Purge. I mean, it's just
you got Dead Poet Society. He's a nerdy college student. You got Training Day, where he's an undercover cop in training, and then you got the Before trilogy, where he somehow manages to make himself incredibly handsome. I mean, he really is. He's just like a charming dude in the Before trilogy.
Is that a trilogy of movies? Like, is that 3 different movies?
So this is really cool. So I didn't get introduced to these still recently, and mostly Sammy introduced this to me, and I was like, well, I'm watching these because first of all, Richard Linklater directs them, and he's phenomenal as a filmmaker, and secondly, I love Ethan Hawke. And so what it was is each one, and you'll see why when you watch them, but each one takes place 8 years apart.
Oh shit!
And they were actually filmed 8 years apart.
Oh wow!
One. Yeah. So
crazy.
And so like it has a very
so
real
so
grounded
so it is
feeling.
it's a trilogy of movies.
Yeah, it is 3 movies. There's Before Sunset, Before Sunrise. Oh, sorry, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and then Before Midnight. Those are the 3. Yeah. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch them.
Yeah, they're great. They're good romance movies. I mean, that's the best way I could describe it. If you like, they're really well done, really well executed. And Ethan Hawke is before the first one especially. The first one's my favorite of the 3, and he's so good in that, and just amazing. And then you have. Yeah, The Purge, where he's like a loving parent, and then in Sinister, he's like this writer that goes crazy. I mean, he's played different roles every time, and then he's this villain in Moon Knight, and then you got him in what was the one we were just talking about, Black Phone, where he's this creepy guy. Like, he's so different, he's so diverse, man. I think he's really so talented.
I just looked them up. They're actually 9 years apart.
9 years apart still, but they were filmed the actual time.
They were filmed, yeah, because it was 95,
place,
2004, and 2013, so it's 9 years apart.
And the time in the movie, like Linklater does really cool stuff with time in each movie. Like, if you're watching the events happen in real time, like honestly, like if a minute goes by, it's like an actual minute. Like you'll see each
and they'll play the same character in each one, right?
Yes, yeah. It's nice. The same storyline still, but it still manages to be 9 years apart. It's really cool, man. It's really cool when you watch it. Like it's quite the experience. I love them so much. But yeah, all right, guys. Look, we're at 2:20 now. We're gonna get out of here. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on Movie Mornings. Let us know what you think of the new look and all that. I'm very excited about all this, and I think it's awesome. So Jose, before we go, where can people find you?
You can find me on all socials at Type 1 Latino, all together, all lowercase. You can also find me at Type 1 Latino on Twitch, twitch.tv/Type 1 Latino. Go check out my streams. I'm going to try and start streaming more often. I just have a pretty busy schedule. I'm trying to stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. I know for sure I can do Saturdays. I just can't this Saturday, but next one for sure I can do. But I'm going to start trying to stream more often so I can get more content out there for you. And I post the streams that I do on YouTube. So if you don't catch me live, you can watch the replay on YouTube.
All right. And I've been Dom Martino. You guys can find me on Twitter at Dom_Martino_, on Instagram, Dom_Martino_ official. Make sure you follow the Anorex pages too at Anorex Official on Twitter and Anorex Official on Instagram. If you haven't done so, please go follow us on Spotify. And if you haven't done so, if you're listening on Spotify now, go follow the YouTube channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comments section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. Appreciated, everybody. Much appreciated. And we're going to go ahead and take off here. And I want to thank Jose again. And we will talk to you guys later.